search operations. The rescue teams had their hands full dealing with the aftermath of severe flooding in New Hanover. Teams have been in that area since the early hours of this morning, searching for 3 people who were swept away by the floods. The heavy rain has left a trail of destruction, and assessments to determine the extent of the damage are also underway. Nhlanhla Mabaso reports.
After hours of searching for the missing people who may have been swept away by floods, rescue teams have managed to find one body. And with more heavy rains expected, the team says it will be difficult to continue with such operations. Ayimdad Foundation Head of Emergency Response, Search and Rescues, Ifan Ahmed.
That one body was very difficult to locate, in a sense to rescue as well, due to the debris and the tall trees that we have behind that where the body was entrapped.
He's saying the rain expected this afternoon will hamper their efforts.
The challenge is we're going to be, there's rain expected later this afternoon. So hopefully while the waters are low, we're going to try and recover those 2 bodies and bring closure to the families as well.
Residents, especially those in prone areas, have been urged to move to higher ground as more severe rains are set to hit the area. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, New Hanover.
At the same time, the Johannesburg Emergency Service has warned faith-based organizations against visiting rivers and streams for rituals with more rain expected. The South African Weather Service has issued several warnings for inclement weather in parts of the country. Authorities have warned that in some parts of Johannesburg, the severe weather conditions could lead to flooding. EMS officials say residents should avoid conducting baptism and cleansing rituals at this time because the water levels are too high. Joburg EMS spokesperson Robert Mulaudzi.
From our side as the City of Johannesburg Emergency Management Services, together with our disaster management monitoring teams, our aquatic rescue unit, we still remain on high alert, monitoring all 7 regions of the city for any emergencies.
To this now, NPA boss Shamila Batoyi has been pressed by the panel hearing an inquiry into Johannesburg prosecution's head Andrew Chau to back her allegations against him. Batoyi is back on the witness stand at the inquiry in Pretoria today. It is investigating allegations by Batoyi that Chau made politically motivated prosecutorial decisions. President Cyril Ramaphosa suspended Chau in July. Khomotso Modise has more.
From last week, the chair of the inquiry into Andrew Chauke's fitness to hold office, retired Justice Bess Nkabinde, asked that the inquiry be mindful of its terms of reference and sticks to them. Today, while NPA head Shamila Batoyi has been testifying, Nkabinde has been vocal, asking that the evidence Batoyi gives speaks to the terms of reference and the allegations that she's made against Chauke.
Because it doesn't appear that we've really gone to the crux of the matter to understand the illegality or the unlawfulness of his conduct, if any.
According to Batoyi, Chauke undermined or attempted to undermine the authority of then acting Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions in KZN, Advocate Cyril Mlodra, when he led a team of prosecutors which was investigating former KZN Hawks boss Johan Boysen and his Cato Manor organised crime unit. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News.
In the courts now, the corruption case involving a Hawks officer and a Tembisa hospital employee has been postponed to next week. The 2 appeared in the Pretoria Magistrates Court today after they were arrested yesterday. It's alleged they tried to bribe a Hawks officer who is investigating corruption at the health facility to avoid being prosecuted. In September, the SIU reported that 2 billion rand meant for healthcare services at the Tembisa hospital had been misappropriated. The DA's Jack Bloom has commended the Hawks for arresting one of their own.
And we need to interrogate everybody there so that we find out who most benefited from it, and then recover the money as soon as possible and make sure that all people are charged and appear in prison as soon as possible.
And in the Ukraine, President Volodymyr Zelensky has hailed talks in Geneva with the U.S. over an end to the war with Russia. Ukrainian, American and European officials met in Switzerland yesterday after a U.S. proposal to end the conflict. It's been nearly 4 years since Russia invaded the Ukraine. EU leaders are expected to hold emergency Ukraine talks on the sidelines of a summit in Angola later today. At the same time, the Kremlin says it has yet to receive information from the Ukraine peace talks in Geneva. It also says there are no plans for Russian and US delegations to meet this week. Gold is trading at $4,069.81 an ounce. The rand is at 17.28 to the dollar, 22.63 to the pound, 19.94 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $62.56 a barrel.
Well, at this hour in Edenville, you can expect about a 20-minute delay on the R24 westbound between Macro Store and the Kilulis interchange, and in Bedfordview, traffic sluggish N3 south between the Kilulis interchange and Geldenhuys due to an earlier accident.
In your sport, Marco Jansen takes 6 as the Proteas close in on Test Series win against India. Arsenal thump Tottenham Hotspur to extend lead in Premier League title race, and a depleted Springboks to take on Wales.
It's a cloudy afternoon in Gauteng, along with showers and thundershowers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 24 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN, emergency service teams in KZN have raised concern over the impact that more rainfall will have on ongoing search operations.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's 7 minutes past 3 on Monday, the 24th of November. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope the week's off to a good start. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you are listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. Last Friday, government announced that GBV would be treated as a national state of disaster. And yet, in spite of that big and bold message, key personnel in the fight against GBV are either not being hired or are being let go. I'm talking here about a job called a forensic nurse, absolutely crucial for people who have been sexually abused and who need focused, skilled, and above all sensitive medical help to prepare them for the legal processes that should follow. More on that at 10 to 5. It starts with an innocuous-sounding phone call, a little bit confusing and possibly irritating. And you might say, no thanks, I wouldn't be interested. Or you may say, yes, okay, without fully knowing what it is you're agreeing to. And then before you know it, you find yourself in debt review. This abuse of trust is becoming increasingly common. We're going to find out more about it when we talk about it after 4 to personal finance journalist Maya Fisher-French. And our own Kabazella, Jonathan Fairburn, has got something to share on that as well. The G20 has come and gone, and Joburg is back to the state of no special favors or treatments or spritzing up because we have visitors. The battle to lift the city out of its deep slump resumes again today on its normal terms. Except a very interesting story has highlighted how much the managers of our key city entities, Joburg Water, City Power and others, actually earn. We'll talk about that after 5 with Alex van den Heefer and ask some questions. Is this market rate? Are we getting value for money? And if people insist that we are, how do we know? And do you remember a while back there was a whole debate about Polo, the Ralph Lauren Polo, and Polo South Africa, and that particular dispute focused on which way the horse and the polo player was facing. Anyway, there have been developments in that. It's a very, very interesting thing, a little sort of wrinkle on national life. And there's an update that we'll share with you after 4. We've got all that and a whole lot more on 702 Drive, including breaking news, news from the roads in our regular traffic updates, and the latest from the markets. The JSE is marginally down today after looking strong in the morning. The All Share has lost around 150 points, not nothing, but not a lot. Despite a great day for platinum stocks, Northam up by 5.9%, Sibanye and Implats by 4.4%. Netcare also having a good day, up by 3.85%. On the downside, Telkom is weaker by 4.6%, Sasol by 3.8%, and the gold stocks not doing too well either. Rand currently trading at 17 Rand 27 against the US dollar. A euro will cost you 19 Rand 95, and 22 Rand and 64 cents will get you a pound. The oil price is down by 28 cents, with Brent crude currently trading at $62.82 a barrel. Stephen Critters joins us with all the details at 4:25. Bring you the sport with Tolakele Mganga. South Africa's cricketers are tearing it up in India. Absolutely fantastic batting a second time. Tolakele will have all the details, but the lead, I think, at the end of today's play was around 320. We still have 10 wickets in hand. Tolakele with us at about 20-4. Bali Dlamini with the latest news headlines. You heard her a moment ago. Karabo Chale is keeping an eye on the roads. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live. Where do you live, by the way? Give us a call and let us know if you're listening in an interesting and unexpected place. Do that on 072-702-1702. And if things are happening in 702 land, we'll do our best to bring it to you first. But if you've heard about it before us, or you've got a detail that we missed, please use that same number to get in touch. 072-702-1702. If you want to give us a call and chat, 011-883-0702.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
So we've got lots to talk about, lots to inquire about, lots to think about. When it comes to thoughts, often the most interesting thoughts are the most random. This is not entirely random. You might have heard over the weekend. Excuse me. Oh, hold on a sec.
Drive home with John Perlman
On 702. Let's walk the talk.
Nothing a little water won't sort out. Not sure what happened there, but anyway, I'm back. So over the weekend, I was out at Nasrec at the G20 summit, and there was a lunch break, but I still had to be on air. And not that I was hobnobbing with presidents quite, but I was interviewing important people. And quite often, if I'm at home and I'm doing that, I actually put an apron on. Never mind tucking in a napkin. I just put on an apron. It's the quickest thing to do. Because, you don't want to have to change and you're running a little bit late, etc., etc. So that I thought, well, I got to choose very carefully what I eat at the very well-catered media center at Nasrec. But we were talking a little bit earlier. What is the most common thing you spill on your clothes? In other words, you say, I did it again. Egg, mayonnaise, sandwich, and there's the mayo. Exactly where it usually lands between the top button and the one below, whatever it might be. So I'd like to know from you, do you have a particular error that you make, that you get stuff? I used to underestimate the power of spaghetti whiplash. Like you think you're covered, but then a little bit of spaghetti just whips a little bit. And if the sauce is well made, it's got some olive oil and you sunk. Kabazella, Jonathan Fairbairn, I don't think I've ever seen you with food schmutz on your shirt. Very impeccably turned out is Kabazella, but you must have a weakness.
To our 702 family. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things I hate doing is messing on my clothes because, you know, depending on what you mess, then you could get a stain.
Yes.
And you got to try Vanish or Sunlight dishwashing liquid to try and remove the stains. But the most common thing for me, and it happens when I remove myself from the basin in the bathroom. So I'll be brushing my teeth. And generally I stay there and brush the teeth, you know, leaning over the basin. But then if I maybe disappear to walk into the bedroom to do something while I'm brushing my teeth, I will mess toothpaste. But I won't notice it at home. I'll notice it when I get to the office and I'm like, damn it, messed some toothpaste on my shirt or something like that. And then if I go out and eat, generally I'm on the hunt, as you know, for a good bunny chow or a good Portuguese chicken. Without doubt, one of those two, I'll always end up messing something on my clothes because I'm getting stuck in there with my hands and enjoying it so much, you know.
I'll tell you an apron story a little later about why I keep one in the car, but later for that. What about you, Karabo Chale? What's your...
Yeah, John.
What flies in the direction of your sweater?
I think I should also do the apron thing. It might work for me because I mess with anything.
Yes.
Today I messed. I was eating yogurt and I spilled some on my pants and I've been trying to remove it the whole day. There we go.
It's got a nice stain. Yeah.
So burgers are the biggest culprits. Burgers are bad. I always mess. Actually, I mess myself with practically anything which is saucy or has a gravy in it. So
yes.
I'm very bad, much to my partner's annoyance.
Yeah. I mean, you could live on bananas, but what would be the point of that? Life would not be much fun. So give us your tips, please. What is the thing that you most often spill on your clothes? And if you've got a particularly good story, I'll share one a little bit later about how the apron trick almost backfired. But later for that, I want to hear your story first. 16 minutes past 3. Some of you may be driving your cars and eating. Who knows? But either way, you got to know what's happening in the traffic. Here we go.
Well, I don't advise eating while driving because, could be a distraction, John. Well, at this stage in the Devland area, traffic sluggish on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue. In Rand Park Ridge, also accident scene on Beyers Noideur near John Foster, causing heavy delays all the way from CR Swart, while in Ekurhuleni, Edenvale area heading towards Bedford View. Expect heavy delays on the R24 westbound between Macro Store and the Kilulis interchange, and in Calvin Alex area we still have those roadworks slowing down traffic N3 South between the Butler interchange and London Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
It's so fascinating, Director General, because, one of the things I've enjoyed doing is just study the language during these kind of discussions, because it's almost like every word matters, like the word you use, the comma, the full stop, because you need consensus. So one of the things I was really impressed by is how the summit has firmly placed the interests of the continent at the heart of conversations. Do you look at the declarations as South Africa and say, okay, we have achieved what we actually wanted to achieve out of this G20 summit?
Yes, every single one of South Africa's priorities is agreed. All of the priorities that we felt was important for us, but was also important for the African continent, was agreed to.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
After more than 50 sold-out shows, Universe on Stage Duo is back with their new show, The Black Hole Symphony, performed live with the Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra and conducted by Daniel Boyko. This breathtaking, one-of-a-kind exploration of music, science and cinematic visuals is a symphonic journey through one of nature's greatest enigmas, the black hole. It takes place for 3 performances only, from 27 to 29 November at the Wits Linde Auditorium. Tickets are available on Web Tickets.
The joy of what if we just let it go to voicemail. The joy of what if we skipped the flight for a front row seat to the open road. The joy of what if the wrong turn took us the right way. The joy of what if we didn't share this view and kept it our secret. The joy of what if not being there yet was the best part. Choose the joy of what if with BMW.
Let's live more. Bring your daydreams to life with Norwegian Cruise Line, sailing to over 400 exciting destinations around the world on 21 spectacular ships. Explore iconic landmarks in Europe, top islands in the Caribbean, and much more. When it comes to dream holidays, think NCL. For the best cruise deals, visit ncl.com or contact your travel agent. Restrictions apply.
Do you suffer from heartburn and hyperacidity? To relieve heartburn for the whole day and night with one tablet, a potent once-a-day treatment which was previously prescription only is now available over the counter. Ask your pharmacist for an over-the-counter, long-lasting heartburn treatment. Brought to you by Sandoz.
You know what success looks like. Now discover why focus is the driving force behind every success story. Catch 702 in conversation with Momentum on The Money Show with Stephen Critters every Thursday, discussing the science of success. Step into the mindset of top financial achievers and discover how your thinking, behavior, and focus can shape lasting financial success. That's 702 in conversation with Momentum. Thursdays on The Money Show with Stephen Critters. Momentum, your journey to success on 702. Momentum is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So, nothing going on today at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Parliament's ad hoc committee is in transit, literally, because tomorrow, first of all, they're all making their way to Tshwane. Tomorrow they will be questioning Vusumuzi Katmatlala, and they're going to be doing it inside the Kgosi Mampuru prison, right in the heart of Pretoria. So that's going to be a little bit different. But one of the inquiries that is going underway is the one investigating the Southern Gauteng head of public prosecutions, Andrew Chau, or the Johannesburg prosecutions head, Andrew Chau. His fitness to hold office is very much under scrutiny, and leading that scrutiny is the person who brought this into the public realm in the first place, the current head, but not for much longer, of the NPA, Advocate Shamila Batoy. So she's been testifying, I think, for quite a while now. Let's find out what was said today and, crucially, what questions she was asked. Khomotso Modise has been watching and listening and joins us now. Khomotso, very good afternoon to you. Anything of particular note today?
Good afternoon, John. Yes, so we've been hearing from Shamila Batoy, who's really been pressed by the panel that's been leading this inquiry to substantiate the allegations that she's made against Andrew Chau. And she's had to go through a whole lot of emails between Chau as well as his counterpart, so that's the former Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions in KZN, to almost point and to show how she says that Chau had undermined the authority of the KZN DPP. Now, just to take you a step back, John, what happened was Andrew Chau was part of the prosecution's team, and he led the prosecution's team that was prosecuting former KZN Hawks boss Johan Boysens, as well as the Kato Manor Organized Crime Unit.
Right.
At the time, John, Chau was Johannesburg Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions. And the allegation that's been made by Batoy is that Andrew Chau had no business working on that prosecution in KZN because he is in Johannesburg. He's based in Johannesburg, and there are jurisdiction issues there. Now, the panel has questioned a number of issues, including the fact that Chau was clearly appointed to be part of that prosecutions team and lead the prosecutions team by former acting national director of public prosecutions, Nomgcobo Jiba. And the panel is trying to figure out where Chauke's actions were unlawful or illegal as alleged by Shamila Batoy. And she spent the entire day really trying to show from those emails that Chauke has acted in an untoward manner, in that he undermined the authority of the KZN DPP in how he spoke to him, even threatening to call in the minister when the DPP in KZN refused to respond or listen to his instructions. And it's all part of proving that Chauke's actions were politically motivated. This is the allegation that's been made. His actions were politically motivated, and he made prosecutorial decisions based on political pressure.
Is there any thread emerging, Khomotso? Because some people might say, well, if he was deployed to do that, well, he was just obeying orders. It wouldn't be, let me not say orders, but instructions would be more appropriate given the work that he's doing. But is there any thread emerging that suggests what those political motivations might be, and who else either shared them or directed them?
Not at this stage, John, and that's the frustration that the panelists have. The panel's been asking that the evidence that's given must speak directly to the terms of reference. Right. The terms of reference are rather clear around this. And, as we've spoken, John, before, there are two matters here that are before the panel. It's the Johan Boysen Kato matter, as well as the former crime intelligence boss, Richard Mdluli matter. Those are the two matters that he's being probed for. And the panel at this stage says they're not satisfied that the evidence that's been brought brought by Batohi speaks directly to the terms of reference and speaks to the allegations that she's made, allegations that Chauke acted unlawfully. The biggest issue here at this stage is the fact that he didn't appoint himself to be part of that prosecution's team. And that's the argument that's been made by Chauke's lawyers. We heard Advocate Tembeka Ngcukaitobi last week saying while Chauke backed the decision to prosecute Johan Boysen and the Cato Manor unit with those racketeering charges, he didn't make the decision. The decision was taken by former prosecution's bosses, Nomgcobo Jiba, as well as Sean Abrams.
Just a final thought, and I guess the wider perspective on this, Khumotso. I mean, people listening might go, who, when? This all happened a long time ago. Yeah. This was raised, as I understand it, a long time ago, and it needed a decision by President Cyril Ramaphosa for this inquiry to actually be launched. Is there not a sense of this is all very, very late in the day? And perhaps wondering whether, even if there would to be a finding against Andrew Chauke, what difference would it make at this point? Occasionally I get the same feeling listening to either the Madlanga Commission or Parliament's ad hoc hearing that, it would have been nice if there'd been some action at the time.
Absolutely, John. I mean, we're speaking about racketeering charges that date back to 2012. And of course, this is a battle that Johan Boysen fought for years. But Shamala Batohi prioritized this matter when she took office in 2019. She says she set up a review committee to investigate these racketeering charges. And once she was convinced through that recommendation from the committee, she then took the step of almost reversing everything that had been done by the NPA in that prosecution of Johan Boysen. But you're absolutely right, John. I mean, it does feel like we're speaking about something that had happened ages ago. And to top that all off, John, Shamala Batohi laid the complaint with President Cyril Ramaphosa in 2023. It's 2025 now, and the president only suspended Andrew Chauke in July and then only set up the committee or the inquiry into his conduct in September. And we are a month and a half in, and in terms of the terms of reference, this inquiry has 4 months to carry out its work. So in terms of timelines, we're speaking about matters from over a decade ago, decisions that were made by prosecutors truly ages ago, and we don't know whether they will even complete this inquiry within the stipulated time.
I know justice grinds very, very slowly, even if, what's the expression? It grinds exceeding slow but exceedingly fine or something, suggesting that at the end, the outcome you get is something that's been properly ground. But, boy, this has taken time. 702 Drive, thank you. Khumotso Modise, our EWN colleague, covering that particular inquiry. And we will have extended coverage, I can tell you, from the Kgosi Mampuru prison tomorrow. But more on that a little bit later. 28 minutes past 3.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
What were some of the main takeaways for you from COP30?
One of the takeaways for us, basically around the COP30, was that the conference managed to agree on certain things. Number one, the forest finance was actually basically one of the things that was agreed upon. It talks about the long-term reliable finance for the countries to protect their forests.
Thabo Sibeko is a programs manager at EarthLife Africa. Reflections on the COP30, which was held in Belém in Brazil, concluding on Saturday.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
This Black Friday, Outsurance is confident that they can beat your car insurance premium. If they can't, ask them for 500 Rand cash. Make that 1,500 if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. With Outsurance, you could get monthly premium savings or at least 500 Rand cash. Make today the day you switch and save. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Josie, my Josie, a city made of swag, passion and resilience. Over here, we rise with the sun. Namateksi. We are a city of doers, creators and believers. When we unite, yonke into iyahlangana. From corner offices to corner veggie stalls or corner pre-chat and receipt. Josie, my Josie, a city where even those who were not born here are made here. Yabona la, citizenship is awarded to the curious. There's magic and beauty in our city, so we call on everyone to come experience it. Babiza bonke to come see Josie and all its people, because this city is all of us. Come witness our citizens do it. Babiza bonke to come see the actions of the invisibles, those building our city from the ground up, so we have a home we can all proudly call Josie, my Josie. Visit josiemyjosie.com to see how Josie does it.
James, congrats on the babies.
Yeah, thanks. It's a wild ride.
You're a new dad, 2 babies, 0 sleep, and 1 car that apparently couldn't cope.
Yeah, the hatchback was my baby, but it just didn't have enough space for my 2 new babies.
And are you happy with the price when you sold to We Buy Cars?
Very. We've even got some extra cash to splurge on one of those fancy prams that you basically need a license for.
Good luck, James. We Buy Cars. Geared for family, geared for you.
Right, let's get down to the Western Cape and update on the Nafees Modack organised crime-related trial. That story with Mbali Dlamini and some others besides. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The prosecution team in the trial of alleged underworld gang boss Nafees Modack has used a timeline of events today to show that Modack was allegedly behind the attempted murder of prominent attorney William Booth. Modack and 14 others face 122 charges for various crimes, including the attempted murder of Booth 5 years ago. Prosecutors have used a thread of circumstantial evidence today to place Modack at the centre of the attempt on Booth's life. Carlo Peterson reports.
State Prosecutor Greg Vormerans today used cell phone evidence and the testimonies of witnesses to implicate Nafees Modack as the mastermind of the attempt on attorney William Booth's life at his Higgovale home in April 2020. Evidence shows co-accused Zane Killian started profusely pinging Booth after another co-accused, Jacques Cronje, was arrested for kidnapping and intimidation related to an alleged extortion attempt involving one of Booth's clients. Cronje was arrested after Booth lodged a criminal complaint against him.
This is all within 24 hours of Cronje's arrest. Is that timing all just a coincidence? I can't answer that, but I definitely no instructions.
Modack insists Killian was part of a conspiracy against him on behalf of his alleged underworld rival Rome Donkey Boyson and corrupt cops. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News, Western Cape High Court.
Tourism Minister Patricia de Lille says domestic tourism continues to see a resurgence as the sector looks inward. De Lille's optimism about the sector's recovery follows an uptick with more than 1 million visitors compared with the same period in 2024. This includes promising figures for domestic tourists. Speaking on the sidelines of the final day of the G20 Leaders Summit in Johannesburg yesterday, De Lille to ensure an aggressive push to attract more locals to the country's tourist destinations.
Well, what we do is that, especially for domestic tourism, is accessibility and affordability. We know the cost of living is very high in South Africa. So we partnered with the private sector to make it more affordable for domestic tourism. So we continue to work together on the affordability.
At the same time, Sandparks says it's fully prepared to welcome increased visitor numbers to the Table Mountain National Park this summer. It has also highlighted strong safety measures and enhanced firefighting as well as environmental protection capacity. From April to October this year, the park recorded more than 1.7 million entries across its access points, an almost 20% increase compared to the same period in 2024. Sandparks spokesperson JP Lowe says with more flight and cruise ship arrivals expected, the upward trend looks set to continue into December as well as January.
Table Mountain National Park now has 157 rangers deployed across the park, working closely with a 40-member SIM team, the Sea Air Mountain Special Operations Unit. This unit was bolstered earlier this year. Drone technology is also being introduced to support safety patrols and firefighting operations.
Israel's military has announced the dismissal of 3 generals over their failure to prevent the October 2023 assault by Hamas. It has also ordered disciplinary action against several other senior officers. The move comes 2 weeks after Israeli military chief Eyal Zamir called for a systemic investigation. Hamas's attack on southern Israel in October 2023 resulted in the deaths of over 1,200 people and sparked a devastating 2-year war in Gaza. Israel's retaliatory assault on Gaza has killed nearly 70,000 people. It's a cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with showers and thunder showers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 24 and 26 degrees.
In Melrose, heading towards Sandton, you can expect about a 20-minute delay on the M1 northbound between Ethel Oakland and Marlborough Drive. In Rand Park Ridge, traffic is sluggish. This is on Bears Nodia. Between John Foster and CR Swart due to an earlier accident. And in Edenvale, expect some delays on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Gilulis interchange.
The top story in EWN this hour, the prosecution team in the trial of alleged underworld gang boss Nafis Modack has used a timeline of events to show that Modack was allegedly behind the attempted murder of a prominent attorney.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
There's been a lot of praise for Cyril Ramaphosa and how he managed this G20.
The president deciding against tradition to say, right, I'm putting it up for adoption early on and then to keep the program moving. Was it incidental? No. Was it a slip-up? No. I think it was calculated in some way. And I do think that it was to sort of take advantage of the momentum of the diplomatic moment at play by dealing with that early on and then just letting everything else be symbolic.
Juanita Hunter. The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Hey, Chummy. Sorry I missed your call. I just got back from Discount where I was doing my Christmas shopping, spoiling the fam, when I spot these signs about better rewards. Turns out you can unlock special promo prices just by being a member. So obvious, I'm in. Long story short, I loaded my trolley with all the gifts and goodies and headed to the till. My slip, it just kept going and going. And my savings, I could literally see the difference. It's true. My till slip never looked better. You should better reward yourself too, hey? Okay, friend, bye.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, unfair blacklisting, or an uncontested divorce, Clientele Legal offers professional legal services to all South Africans. Our plans are affordable, and you receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our nationwide legal teams are standing by to support you 24 hours a day. Plus, all plans include a 5,000 Rand bail benefit. Join today. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Who says everyday driving can't be très chic? Rent premium with Sani Sixt now. Own the stylish Citroen C3 later. Yes, that's 3 cars, 3 months, 3 chances to say ooh la la. Just book directly on sani.co.za. Call us or rent at any branch between 1 November and 31 January, and you're automatically entered into the draw. Bon voyage with Sani Sixt and win. T's and C's apply.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. It's David here. So I think Kabazela is doing it wrong. How do you mess yourself with your toothpaste? Because you're supposed to brush your mouth first before you go shower or before you go and take a bath.
How? Kabazela. The fact that you're going to notice when you get to work that you have matched toothpaste on your shirt, perhaps. That means you only brush your teeth after you have dressed up and ready to walk out the door. When is the right time to brush your teeth? When you wake up before you bath, that's what I do, and I think most people in my family or circle do that. The first thing they do when they wake up, they brush their teeth before they go to bath. And when they walk out, brushing their teeth was the first thing they did when they woke up. But with you, I see it's the opposite. You brush your teeth before you walk out, after you've dressed up, done everything.
Yeah, I mean, when you're supposed to brush your teeth, for me, I know exactly when I'm not supposed to brush my teeth before I've eaten. I do not want the taste of toothpaste to interfere with anything I eat or drink. So, yeah, that'll be my choice. What's the thing that you most often spill on your clothes? Quite a lot of people are saying coffee. What I hate about spilling on my shirt is coffee, because I mostly go for business meetings and I don't want to come to a conference room with a spilled shirt and people are going to look at me and say, I'm not taking my job seriously. So that the one I hate about is the spilled coffee on my shirt. Wear an apron, get a bib. I don't know. ND, good afternoon, and Tate John, it's dry red, whether I'm at home or at a restaurant. Chocolate and tea, says Debbie, and Sibongile says water, which I would think is probably fine. 702 Drive, it's 20 to 4.
EWN Sport.
Right, let's get the very latest from the world of sport. Tolakele, a really busy and interesting weekend and a terrific day of cricket today. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. And it's Marco Jansen who continued to torment India in the second test, claiming 6 for 48 to help South Africa grab a first innings lead of 288 on day 3. Of course, that performance came a day after smashing a career best 93 in South Africa's first innings total of 489. At stumps, the Proteas were 26 for no loss in their second innings to give them an overall lead of 314, while Ryan Rickleton on 13 alongside Aidan Markram on 12 will resume their innings in the morning.
The ball wasn't nipping as much like in Kolkata. The ball wasn't squatting as much, so we had to figure out a plan. And I think when I got my first wicket with the bouncer, we said, okay, cool, let's see how long this is going to work for. And yeah, it just came off it. Like I said, it's a good wicket. There's good pace, good bounce. If you play the short ball well, you'll score runs. If you bowl well, you'll get wickets.
Arsenal extended their lead at the top of the Premier League standings to 6 points following a 4-1 win over Tottenham Hotspur in the North London derby. Mikel Arteta says winning had added importance after Manchester City and Liverpool both dropped points.
Yeah, and especially after the Sunderland game, that at the end we lost 2 points in the last kick of the game, basically. And we went to the international break with that bitter feeling because we didn't concede any goals and we had 10 straight wins, and we wanted to get back to earning that momentum again, and the London derby and today's performance, it's a good start.
The Springboks have strengthened their position as the world's number 1 side following their 24-13 win over Ireland, which was their first victory in Dublin since 2012. Next up is Wales, and ahead of it, Rassie Erasmus has revealed that most of his overseas-based players will be unavailable. That's for the non-test window fixture.
All the guys that plays in the Premiership, guys like Thomas, guys like Buan, RG, guys like Edwell playing URC, Kirtley is obviously out, don't even mention Fassi is out, Grant is going back to the Sharks, he must play there. We spoke to our URC friends out in South Africa, so yeah, we'll probably train next week with only 25 players. There's quite a couple of guys that must also go back to Japan.
And the Bulls have added fly half Cade Volhata to their player roster on loan from the Lions until the end of the season. The move comes after they agreed to release both Boeta Chamberlain and Jaco van der Walt from their contracts. Tola Gilimganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Okay, let's find out what's happening out on the roads. Getting busy out in Pretoria. Eyewitness News Traffic with Plumlink, your local plumbing store. Visit plumlink.co.za to find your nearest store. Let's get the details from Karabo.
Yes, John, at this stage in Proclamation Hill, Pretoria, expect about a 20-minute delay. This is on Trans-Orania between Kwagga and Vormhagen, while in Melrose, traffic remains heavily backed up heading towards Midrand. That's the M1 northbound between Athol Oaklands and Marlborough Drive. In Calvin Alex area, roadwork still slowing down traffic. N3 southbound between the Butloons Change and London Road. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in the Four Ways area at Winnie Mandela Drive and Four Ways Boulevard, as well as in Bramley at Corlett and Scott. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
If it's plumbing, you'll find it at Plumlink, South Africa's largest plumbing retailer. From pipes, fittings, geysers, and baths to basins, taps, tools, and accessories, we've got it all. With more than 10,000 quality products at the right price and over 150 stores nationwide, there's always a PlumLink near you, ready to help with expert advice and unbeatable value. Find your nearest branch today at plumlink.coza.
PlumLink, your local plumbing store.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive all throughout the day on all the other shows. There's been quite a lot of review and comment, and I suppose, just taking a long last look at this particular weekend and the G20 summit. Not something we're going to cover on the show today, but if you've got some thoughts and you want to debate or get involved or tell us whether you think South Africa did well or too much is being made of what we did, etc., etc., give us a call. I'd love to get your thoughts on that on 011-883-0702. Just to say we don't have a guest to discuss that, because I really think, starting with Bongani from the morning all the way through Clement and Mandy's shows, we've done quite a bit. And I suspect there'll be a look at some of the economic and business angles on the story with Stephen a little bit later. He'll be in to tell us exactly what he's planning to do. 14 minutes now to 4 o'clock. Tola Kelly, food or anything food-like that you regularly spill, or most commonly spill, when you spill anything on your clothes. Do you have a thing that you need to avoid, like Kabazela has to with toothpaste, but somehow doesn't know how to?
For me, it's coffee and ice cream that's in a cone.
Without
Without fail, somehow I will spill on myself, or as I'm licking it, there will be something that drops onto my top. So I've just decided that I'd rather stay away from the ice cream than be that one adult where people are like, are you okay? Do you not know how to eat properly?
I would have thought there'd be a lot of sympathy, actually. I mean, particularly in summer, and particularly if you're moving around with ice cream. That is absolutely going to happen. Now, I did say that I, from time to time, will put on, well, quite often at home, I'll just put on an apron while I'm eating. But I had to be somewhere, and I had to eat before I got there. The background is unimportant, and I was driving. So I brought an apron along, tried to choose something that didn't have too much explosive potential, and it all went fine, except I forgot to take the apron off when I walked in. Fortunately, and I really was quite fortunate, the security guard sort of gave me a funny look and kind of pointed and said, you may not have planned, because I was wearing a suit and then I had the apron as well. So anyway, that all worked out quite well. In the end, things that end up on your clothes, give us a call on 011-883-0702 and 072-702-1702. This is 702 Drive.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Right now, at this time, at 12 minutes to 4, 702 is in conversation with 10X Investments. Build a better future with 10X Investments. 10X Investments is dedicated to helping South Africans build a secure financial future. And today we're joined by Michael Rousseau, Senior Investment Consultant at 10X, who will share with us some practical tips on avoiding common retirement pitfalls, from choosing the right pension product and managing withdrawals to keeping fees in check, staying calm during market swings. That one's important. And planning for post-retirement expenses. All right here on 702. Michael Rousseau, welcome, and thanks very much for your time.
Hi, John. Pleasure to be here.
One of the issues that people face is the choice of which retirement product, and often I find, as much as you read, just when you've made up your mind, you think, oh, hang on, what about this other option? Living annuity, guaranteed annuity, and there may be some variations on both. Well, what is your advice in that regard?
John, you hit the nail on the head there. There's so much information online these days that it can be quite overwhelming. I think the scary thing is it's so spread across the internet in article format. It's very few places that have everything at one. So I think the first one is just, how does an investor that's going into this next phase of their lives, how do they actually source all the information that they need to know? And there's a few things that you can do. There's lots of ebooks out there that all investment companies have actually provided. I mean,
Right.
you can go onto the website, you can download the ebook where they give you an end-to-end sort of, this is what your options are, this is how things work, and reference quite often sort of the pitfalls, the main ones that investors make. I think another sort of error or pitfall that I see investors make sometimes is they don't shop around enough, and they also don't choose different types of investment companies to get a difference in opinion.
Yes.
So sometimes they'll just talk to one person and that's it, right?
Right.
So you're getting information from one source rather than trying to get a full scope of everything. And I think another sort of error that I see sometimes investors make is they'll talk to the same kind of company, so they'll go to one type and then they get the same message 3 times rather than a difference,
So, I mean, one of the things that people are trying to do is work out, okay, I'm putting money in, I've got a timeline, at a certain point, I need to live off this money. And yet so many things can change. The purchasing power of the rand shifts, all sorts of things are perhaps more varied than you actually realize. What's the best way to actually estimate, for example, what your post-retirement expenses might be? Because that's also built on shifting sand. Electricity prices is just one example.
Yeah, you're quite right there. It's and that's a very difficult question to answer in a standardized way. I suppose every individual is different. We all have different inflation amounts based on your lifestyle. So it really is a difficult sort of number to hone into. And quite often I get 3 types of scenarios: underestimating, overestimating, and then they hit it on nail on the head. So it's quite a difficult question to answer. I suppose sort of the number one question that we get is more, what can I sustain? Is it in line with my needs? Sometimes you're forced to make actual cuts, like you know what you want from on a monthly income basis, but that's just not sustainable from your investment. So I suppose it first starts with what is realistic, expectation of your capital, and then you move on to what you want. I always try to do it that way because you don't want a person, when you're discussing with certain individuals, obviously they want to get your business, so you just want to first hear what is a realistic expectation rather than me just hearing what I want to hear,
So mixed in all of this is fees, and I don't know if everybody or many people read the small print more closely than me, but I suspect a lot of them do. How do you navigate around fees?
Yeah, I think this is one point that I really want the listeners to remember from this conversation. Just to validate the point, I've spoken to over 13,000 investors on this topic, and I rate about 90% of them had no idea what their fees are. Which is quite scary, but I'm also going to defend them, defend the public. It's not mainly through ignorance, but actually our industry does tend to struggle with full disclosure. So, there's 101 ways to spread the many layers of fees across 40 pages that even a lawyer can't even read, So the pro tip that I can give investors to just save yourself some time, protect yourself from non-disclosure. The way you ask for total fees in the investment industry is EAC, which stands for Effective Annual Cost. So if you ask for EAC, Effective Annual Cost, the FSCA has made it a legal obligation that whoever you're talking to, they have to disclose in a table format every single layer of fee. So EAC, Effective Annual Cost. Say that one more time there.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, in the midst of all of this, markets are going up, markets are going down. Some people say the best thing to do when it's this volatile is nothing. But on the whole, people don't want to be completely passive. What's your advice? I mean, it is a pretty volatile patch we're in.
Well, I think you've got to be very wary of anybody that tries to predict where the markets are going to go. I tend to run in the opposite direction because nobody knows what the markets are going to do. If you are worried about volatility, diversification is your first, second, and third line of defense, Rather than going all in one type of investment, rather spread it out, because that way, if you spread it across different kinds of investments that are uncorrelated, meaning this one goes up while the other one goes down, then you tend to have a much smoother ride. And I've always said this to investors that are about to retire. I say it to them, and yet, there's no shortage when it comes to experience.
Yes.
But when you retire, this money that you've been saving in your retirement funds, it's been handling the volatility of the markets for all these years, right? And you've been experiencing this same volatility all these years. But the moment you retire and start to draw an income from this investment, all of a sudden, the volatility, every single bump in the road feels 10 times more because, now this is the single source of your income. So nothing can really prepare you other than experience, but just keep in mind, you have been experiencing this volatility all your life. It's just now you're drawing an income.
Thank you so much to Michael Rousseau, Senior Investment Consultant at 10X Investments. 10X doesn't just help you invest for retirement, they help you craft a legacy. With thoughtful planning and meticulous execution, you can create the retirement future you've always wanted. Invest with 10X Investments today. 10X your future. Find out more at 10x.co.za. 10X is a licensed FSP.
You're with John Perlman
on 702. In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
One body has been recovered from a river in KwaZulu-Natal as a search for 2 more missing people continues. The victims were washed away yesterday during floods in New Hanover in the Midlands.
The teams are working to recover one body, that of a female, that is entrapped in the river. The embassy for Kokta, Reverend Buthelezi, has assured residents that disaster management teams will work right throughout the clock to ensure that those that are missing are recovered.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
Study your law degree at Regenesis Law School in Sandton or online and build a successful future with leading multinational corporations, or launch your own legal practice. A Regenesis Law degree is profoundly transformational, shaping intellectually sharp, fearless warriors for justice and purpose-driven lawyers. Regenesis is Africa's fastest-growing education institution with 1,000 multinational clients across 12 countries and a faculty of 100 industry experts. Enroll now for your law degree at Regenesis Law School at law.regenesis.net.
Access to the internet is vital for any country to grow. That's why the recent 6.75 billion rand digital infrastructure deal that Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking facilitated between Telkom and an Actors-led consortium is so transformational for South Africa. It unlocks growth and provides internet access to underserved communities who will now have access to the internet for the very first time. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hello, John. I don't often wear white shirts and I don't often eat tomato sauce. But when I do wear a white shirt, for some other reason, that day I will eat tomato sauce and I will spill it on my shirt. I mean, that is as certain as death and taxes.
I mean, yeah. I wonder what comes first. The fact that you've worn the white shirts and then, so many choices on what you could eat. Are you trying to tell yourself, I don't look good in white? Because maybe just tell yourself that rather than go this roundabout route involving the sauce. Here's an interesting message I've been sent on 0727021702. I'm going to put it out there and ask a couple of questions. I'd love to get your thoughts. Here we go. I'd like to raise an issue that affects everyone driving in Gauteng right now. The aggression on our roads has become unbearable. This is what we're teaching the young people who are just coming out of school, fear and anxiety about driving on South African roads. People don't indicate, they don't give way, and they cut in front of you without warning. Drivers zigzag across the highway, even overtake on the left-hand side using the shoulder lane, which should be reserved for emergencies. It's becoming extremely stressful and unsafe to be on the road. Something urgently needs to be done. We cannot continue like this. Our children do not deserve this abuse. So, two-part question. Are there young people in your lives who are moving through their teens and thinking, well, soon I'm going to need to learn to drive? Are they expressing apprehension about what they see on the roads as they're being driven as passengers? And then, secondly, the phrase has become unbearable. Is this getting worse? Or are we just living with more or less the same version of bad, which is what it's been for years? Give me your thoughts on that on 072 702 1702. It's 4 o'clock.
This is EWN.
MPs welcome probe into 17 South Africans allegedly stranded in the Ukraine, and more rain and flooding expected in KZN. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Chairperson of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on International Relations, Supra Mahumapelo, has welcomed an investigation into reports of 17 South Africans stranded in the Ukraine. Mahumapelo says the committee has noted the developments around the issue after they were allegedly lured to the war-torn country by members of the MK party. Former President Jacob Zuma's daughter, an MK party member, Duduzile Zuma Sambudla, is alleged to have recruited the men who are reportedly forced to fight against their will in the Ukraine. Babalondenze reports.
Police on Sunday confirmed that they are investigating claims that Duduzile Zuma Sambudla and other members of the MK party tricked 17 men into fighting for Russia in Ukraine. Zuma's other daughter, Nkosazana Zuma Mncube, also accused her stepsister, Zuma Sambudla, of sending the men to Russia before they ended up on the front lines in the ongoing conflict. Supra Mahumapelo says the committee is pleased that the South African Police Service will now formally investigate the matter. In a statement today, Mahumapelo says the committee welcomes the developments and the committee will seek further clarification from the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. He said the police investigation should help establish how the South African men were recruited, processed and platooned in the Russian army. Mahumapelo says any underground or parallel structure that works against the government or DIRCO should be exposed. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News.
Emergency service teams in KwaZulu-Natal have raised concern over the impact that more rain will have on ongoing search operations. The rescue teams have had their hands full today dealing with the aftermath of severe flooding in New Hanover. Teams have been in the area since the early hours of this morning, searching for 3 people who were swept away by the floods. The heavy rain has left a trail of destruction, and assessments to determine the extent of the damage are underway. Nhlanhla Mabaso reports.
After hours of searching for the missing people who may have been swept away by floods, rescue teams have managed to find one body. And with more heavy rains expected, the team says it will be difficult to continue with search operations. Ayimdad Foundation Head of Emergency Response, Search and Rescues, Ifan Ahmed.
That one body was very difficult to locate, in a sense to rescue as well, due to the debris and the tall trees that we have behind that where the body was entrapped.
He's saying the rain expected this afternoon will hamper their efforts.
The challenge is we're going to be, there's rain expected later this afternoon. So hopefully while the waters are low, we're going to try and recover those 2 bodies and bring closure to the families as well.
Residents, especially those in prone areas, have been urged to move to higher ground as more severe rains are set to hit the area. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, New Hanover.
To this now, NPA head Shamila Batoyi has pointed out signs of alleged questionable conduct in emails from embattled Johannesburg Prosecution's boss, Andrew Chau, at the inquiry into his conduct. The inquiry is investigating Chau's fitness to hold office following a complaint by Patoyi. Chau is accused of making politically influenced prosecutorial decisions in high-profile cases. These include the 2012 prosecution of former KZN Hawks boss Johan Boysen and his Cato Manor organised crime unit. After the panel asked Patoyi to show direct links between her allegations and the evidence she has given, Patoyi combed through email correspondence between Chauke and his KZN counterpart, Advocate Cyril Mlotshwa.
Advocate Chauke says to Advocate Mlotshwa, if this makes you uncomfortable, please indicate so that I may urgently take the matter up with the acting NDPP as well as the minister. Chairperson, for a DPP to say this to an acting DPP, to threaten, I'm not sure if that's the right word, but to report to the NDPP as well as the minister. I'm not sure what the purpose was.
In the courts now, the corruption case involving a Hawks officer and a Tembisa Hospital employee has been postponed to next week. The two appeared in the Pretoria Magistrates Court today after they were arrested just yesterday. It's alleged they tried to bribe a Hawks officer who is investigating corruption at the health facility. In September, the SIU reported that 2 billion rand meant for healthcare services at the Tembisa Hospital had been misappropriated. The DA's Jack Bloom has commended the Hawks for arresting one of their own.
And we need to interrogate everybody there so that we find out who most benefited from it, and then recover the money as soon as possible and make sure that all people are charged and appear in prison as soon as possible.
And Israel's military has announced the dismissal of 3 generals over their failure to prevent the October 2023 assault by Hamas. It has also ordered disciplinary action against several other senior officers. The move comes just 2 weeks after Israeli military chief Eyal Zamir called for a systemic investigation. Hamas's attack on southern Israel in October 2023 resulted in the deaths of over 1,200 people and sparked a devastating 2-year war in Gaza. Israel's retaliatory assault on Gaza left nearly 70,000 people dead. Gold is trading at $4,069.80 an ounce. The rand is at 17.27 to the dollar, 22.63 to the pound, 19.95 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $62.56 a barrel.
Proclamation Hill, Pretoria, bumper-to-bumper traffic or chance Orania. This is between Kwacha and Vomhagen. Melrose, expect about a 20-minute delay on the M1 northbound between Ethel Oaklands and Marlborough Drive, and in Park Ridge, we're still dealing with that accident seen on Beyers Nodia near John Foster, causing heavy delays all the way from CR Swart.
In your sport, Marco Jansen takes 6 as the Proteas close in on Test Series win against India. Arsenal thump Tottenham Hotspur to extend lead in Premier League title race, and a depleted Springboks to take on Wales.
A cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 11 degrees, peaking at a high of 20. Pretoria 14 and 21, and Vereeniging 14 and 20 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: Chairperson of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on International Relations, Modack, has welcomed an investigation into reports of 17 South Africans stranded in the Ukraine.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 8 minutes past 4. It is good to be with you on this Monday as we move ever closer towards the end of the year. Coming up over the next half an hour, we're going to look at a very alarming scam that is confusing people over the phone to their costs. More on that in a moment. First of all with Kabazela, Jonathan Fairburn, and then with Maya Fisher-French. Some of you may have encountered this. If you have, we're looking forward to your calls. And then later in the hour, we hear now from Friday that gender-based violence has been declared a national state of disaster. All well and good, but we're going to focus on a story covered in Daily Maverick, an interview with somebody whose job is as a forensic nurse. A a crucial post involved in helping victims of GBV navigate that incredibly difficult time between the crime on the one hand and preparing evidence for a possible criminal prosecution on the other. The problem that she faces, and she is, by the way, one of only 2 forensic nurses in the whole of the Western Cape, is that her job has been discontinued. More on that at 10 minutes to 5. It's 9 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. SAA now operates 2 flights a day to Gaborone with morning and afternoon departures. Book now at flysaa.com. Problems in Melrose? Karabo Chale with the details.
Yeah, that's heading towards the Sandton Midrand area. Expect about a 20-minute delay. This is on the M1 northbound between Ethel Oaklands and Marlborough Drive. Rand Park Ridge, accident seen on Bayers Nodia near John Foster, slowing down traffic all the way from CR Swart. In Calvin Alex, we still have those roadworks causing heavy delays. N3 South between the Butlu Interchange and London Road, and in Proclamation Hill, that's in Pretoria, bumper-to-bumper traffic on Transorania between Guacha and Vomhagen. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Experience Johannesburg to Gaborone with South African Airways, where comfort meets convenience. Enjoy premium service, flexible morning and afternoon departures, and the warm hospitality SAA is known for. For a limited time, return fares start from just 2,762 Rand, all inclusive. Book by 4 December at flysaa.com. South African Airways, bringing you closer. T's and C's apply.
702 afternoons.
With Relebohile Mabota, 1 to 3 p.m.
Can you please highlight countries that you think are really on the up and up when it comes to luxury travel?
So I think if you look at southern Africa, I'm still of the view that Johannesburg is a very low-hanging fruit, right? There is a need to do something different in Johannesburg. This is the economic powerhouse. It's one of the reasons why we opened a Park Hyatt in the heart of Johannesburg, because at the end of the day, you've got to make luxury work in places which aren't straightforward. For me, Johannesburg provides a great canvas and opportunity set.
Hamza Farouki, who is founder and CEO of Military Global.
702 afternoons.
With Relebohile Mabota.
Let's walk the talk.
For over a decade, Aluma Capital has had one simple mission: to help you secure the financial future you deserve. Over the past 10 years, they've empowered thousands of clients with personalized strategies, expert advice, and impressive returns of up to 13.2%. Whether it's growing wealth, securing retirement, or planning for the unexpected, Aluma Capital is there every step of the way. Visit aluma.co.za today. Aluma Capital is a licensed FSP. T's and C's apply.
Tip your way to glory in the Hollywood Bets Punters Challenge, the free-to-play horse racing game with daily cash giveaways and massive jackpot prizes. Pick all the winners on the race card and you could win 100,000 Rand. Bet 50 Rand or more on your selections using the Bet Slip feature and you could walk away with 1 million Rand. Visit punterschallenge.hollywoodbets.net today and tip your way to the top. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008.
Mom, I know what I want to be when I grow up.
Oh, really?
I want to be an astronaut.
An astronaut? Aren't you aiming a little high?
Well, that's where you come in. I need you to buy me Pediasure. It has 27 vitamins and minerals to support my growth so that I hit all the milestones, and it's scientifically proven.
Okay, Miss Clever. Where can I buy Pediasure?
It's available at pharmacies and retailers in South Africa.
Pediasure by Abbott. Approved by kids to fuel their dreams. You know what success looks like. Now discover why focus is the driving force behind every success story. Catch 702 in conversation with Momentum on The Money Show with Stephen Krutters every Thursday, discussing the science of success. Step into the mindset of top financial achievers and discover how your thinking, behavior, and focus can shape lasting financial success. That's 702 in conversation with Momentum. Thursdays on The Money Show with Stephen Krutters. Momentum, your journey to success on 702. Momentum is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
14 minutes past 4. Let's turn our attention now to something that actually started in our own studios. It all began with a phone call that Jonathan Fairbairn got Thursday, completely unsolicited. But it relates to something that it now appears has been happening to lots of other people as well. Let me not keep it cryptic. Let's hand it over to Kabazela. Jono, who called you and what did they say? And most importantly, what happened next? Good afternoon.
Yeah, afternoon, John. So it was Thursday morning. I got a call from a company called Debt SEO. And, generally I don't even take these calls. I just kind of listen and then put down the phone. And this woman said that she's calling from this company called Debt SEO. And what they do is they look at people who've got debt. And I was like, okay, well, I don't really have debt. But anyway, she continued and she said that what they do is they will then take debt and they can get favorable rates or better rates than what the banks are currently giving you.
Right.
So I was like, actually, no, I don't really need the service. I'm going to end the call now, which I did. Then moments later, I looked at my phone and I got an SMS message. And it said, I, Jonathan Fairbairn, with my ID number, exactly as my ID number is, gave consent to request my credit report on the date, which was the date on that day. And then it says the reason, affordability assessment, Debt SEO. And I was like, what the heck is going on here? I gave no consent whatsoever.
Yes.
I did a quick Google search, typed in Debt SEO, and one or two people had gone to Hello Peter to complain about this company. With a very similar modus operandi of what they did. They said they were signed up for something, never gave consent. No responses from this company, by the way, to those complaints on Hello Peter. And then I reached out to Wendy Nola to see if she had known anything about this. She said I must get in touch with Maya Fisher-French, the consumer financial journalist, which I then did. And she said this is a major thing and has been looking into it, as well as been trying to get some response from the national credit regulator on this kind of company and many others that do the same kind of thing. So it's a worrying thing. I mean, I don't really know what could happen here. I mean, they've obviously taken this to maybe the credit bureau to get all my details and stuff like that. And I mean, we'll get more from Maya in a short while, but I mean, essentially what they can do is put me under debt review, which can then affect my whole credit record. And to get off is another story.
Right, let's bring in at this point, Jono, stick around because there may be a question for you. Maya Fisher-French, award-winning financial journalist and editor of Maya on Money. You can pick that up at News24 and also on the Maya on Money website. Maya, very good afternoon to you. You and Jono had a chat, and as I understand it, you indicated this has been happening and happening quite a lot. What's going on? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. It's really is a pandemic. I think that's how bad it is. And we're seeing this all the time. And unfortunately, I just want to say up front, I'm a big supporter of debt counseling. I've seen it work for many people, but unfortunately there is a rogue element out there that are conning people, absolutely, completely conning people into debt review. They don't even realize what they're signing up for. They get told, oh, we're phoning from the national credit regulator, or we're phoning from the government, and we can, give you lower interest rates. They never mention the word debt counseling. They never mention that you're going to be locked in for 5 years, or that you're going to have to pay 2 months of fees to them. It's just basically complete and utter, fabrication on their part. And they're trapping people in debt review. And I've written endless articles about this. I've been raising it over and over. And I cannot believe this hasn't reached the Constitutional Court yet, because it is such it undermines consumer rights to an extent that just is not acceptable.
So often if one wants to understand what people are doing, you need to understand what the upside for them is. So what Debt SEO and a similar company stand to gain financially out of this? So they've entrapped, let's just stay with Kabazela and the story he's told. Obviously, he's going to wriggle out of this as best he possibly can. But if they've got their clutches on you, how do they make money out of it?
So there's sort of two ways they go about it. One, once you're in debt review, they can actually deduct the first. They sort of they kind of give you a quote that says, okay, you're going to repay 8,000 Rand a month on your debt, and the first 2 months payment comes to us. So, they immediately are able to debit off your bank account 8,000 Rand over 2 months. And usually at this point, people are like, what's just happened to me? This money's gone off my account, and then they're fighting to get it back. So that's one element of it. The other is that they will somebody will contact them and say, I didn't sign up for this. And they'll say, oh, unfortunately, you're under debt review. So if you pay us 10,000 Rand, we will get you out of debt review. Goodness. So they've got different ways of doing it. But generally speaking, once you're sort of trapped in this thing, often the next step is that they will then almost blackmail you to get you out. Or you may get a call, surprisingly, from a different entity saying, oh, we see you're under debt review, we can help you get out for a certain amount. So it's actually really a syndicate. We suspect it is a syndicate actually at work here.
So I'm looking at Debt SEO's Facebook page, and we'll come to the National Credit Regulator and their action or not in a moment. We did, by the way, try and get them on the show. They're unavailable all week to talk about this, which I think is fairly disappointing. Their latest post is not very recent, March 25, looking for sales agents closers for debt review, salary from 6,500 basic weekly plus commission. Then they're having a Black Friday sale up to 50% off. That was back in 2024. I don't know if you have a sale on debt removals, but anyway, they were having one. Here's the bit that caught my eye. So they say, let us help you keep what you've worked for. Someone called Eva says, I did not give you permission to check my credit record. The thing that you are doing is fraud. Capital letters, exclamation marks. And then someone else called Yvonne says, so is mine. We are protected by the POPIA Act, and I'm going to report this company to the NCR. Now, I believe that you've assisted people to do exactly that. First of all, what should the NCR be doing about this? But secondly, what kind of joy have the people who you've tried to help got?
Okay, it is a pity the NCR is not on the court, and I have regular engagements with them, so they know my gripes and complaints. But I had actually, it was funny when John had sent me the details, I sort of went and had a look, and I thought, I have come across this company before, and on the 14th of October, somebody messaged me saying they'd put him under debt review, and he said, I contacted the NCR, I've completed all the forms for the NCR, and nothing's happened. And that's pretty much what happens, is that's when people come to me. They've tried with the NCR, and I don't know what's happening. I don't know if it's falling to some sort of black hole where they're just not getting anywhere, or when I do then try and follow up the NCR, they're saying, well, we have to give the debt counselor opportunity to come back, and it goes back and forth. I mean, I've actually helped somebody who was under debt review for nearly a year, who he didn't even have any debt.
Yes.
And it had been going back and forth with the NCR. So it is a huge problem, and it almost plays into the hands of these sort of syndicates, because they know that the NCR is not sufficiently responsive. I know that they are working on it. We're having conversations. They recognize this as an issue, but this has been an issue for years. This is not something that happened a week ago. And it's deeply concerning, because the NCR, what the NCR should do is, if you go to them and they say, I was conned into this, they should immediately remove you from debt review, and they should remove this debt counselor from the debt help system. So there's something called the debt help system, DHS, that allows these debt counselors onto the system, and they can flag you as being under debt review. That's it. They can flag you.
Yeah.
And how do you allow an entity like this, which we have reported, access to the system? There's so many questions to be asking.
Indeed, and Bonolo, by the way, just confirms, Jono, what you experienced. That's why I don't take these calls. You take the call, then you get an SMS that you have signed up. The sad thing is that you end up missing important calls for interviews, etc. Jono, do you still have anything to sort out? And if so, how are you going about it? Or do you consider this thing more or less settled?
Well, I mean, no, because what could happen in the next couple of days, next couple of weeks, I could find myself being placed under debt review. So you go online to find this company's details, Debt SEO. There's a Cape Town number that's listed there. Called it multiple times on Thursday. Number does not exist. I then searched on the National Credit Regulator's website for this company, which is registered with the NCR. And there's a number of a guy there called Shamil, I can't remember the surname, with the cell phone listed there.
Right.
Tried that cell phone multiple times on Thursday, and it just rings and rings and rings. So even to approach the company and say, listen, this is wrong. One of your agents has acted inappropriately and been, whatever it is that they've done, you can't, because they don't take any calls or you can't get hold of them. And then just one parting note, I'd spoken to a person, I'm not going to name their names just as of yet, at the NCR and said, this has happened, what can I do? She said, I've got to use every avenue that is available to me to try and get myself and try and get this company to, respond to whatever they've done. And I said, well, no, I would like to lodge a complaint with the NCR about this company who is registered. And if they're registered and this is the way they are acting, they should be removed, or at least provide the phone call that they had with me that is supposed to be recorded to either, one, disprove what I said and said, yes, I agree to it, or to agree with what I said and said, I didn't agree with the under, taking me under debt review.
There's a lot to sort out, and I do hope we get the National Credit Regulator sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Perhaps if they're listening to this, they might reconsider whether they can't make their original position that there's no one available to talk about it this week. Similar experiences, please do give us a call on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. Important topic. Let's see what we can do about it. 26 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
Just before I introduce the traffic, let me just say thank you to Maya Fisher-French. I got so exercised about this issue, I didn't thank her for her time on 702 Drive. This EWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. SAA now operates 2 flights a day to Gaborone with morning and afternoon departures. Book now at flysaa.com. Karabo Charlie once again.
Yes, John. Well, at this stage in Pretoria, Proclamation Hill, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic on Trans-Oranje between Kwacha and Vormhagen. Hermanstad still in Tshwane. Expect delays leaving the Pretoria CBD. This is on Eskiam Patlele between WF Nkomo and the R80 Melrose traveling towards Midrand. Expect about a 20-minute delay on the M1 northbound between Ethel Oaklands and Marlborough Drive. We're still dealing with that accident seen in Rand Park Ridge, Bears Nodia, near John Foster, causing heavy delays from CR Swart. And in Calvin Alex area, roadwork still causing heavy delays towards Germiston. That's the N3 southbound between the Batloons Change and London Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Experience Johannesburg to Gaborone with South African Airways, where comfort meets convenience. Enjoy premium service, flexible morning and afternoon departures, and the warm hospitality SAA is known for. For a limited time, return fares start from just 2,762 Rand, all inclusive. Book by 4 December at flysaa.com. South African Airways, bringing you closer. T's and C's apply.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9. How well did South Africa do, not only I suppose this past weekend, but indeed throughout its year of its G20 presidency?
Well, South Africa has done very well, Bongani, taking it from the Brazilian presidents, the social summit, really bring to the fore a lot of groups that have big interests. What I think it should have been done also was to lift up the Gen Z with a new phenomenon in world politics, to have a say in this kind of forum.
Dr. Kingsley Makubela.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9, featuring Total Energies. Their Corporate Affairs and CSI Manager, Talita Sachane, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. And join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
Summer is about rewarding yourself with oceanic views, sizzling braais, and so much more. Earn your share of 120 million rand in real cash back, depending on your rewards tier, when you pay with your Absa Visa card. Plus, enter the Absa Swiper competition and stand a chance to win one of 10 cars. This summer could be the best you've had in years. Your story matters. Absa, T's and C's apply. Absa is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider.
Join the Times Square Lights Extravaganza this December. Experience our gardens outside the Sunbet Arena come alive with bright, sparkling, festive lights. Take a stroll and discover mesmerizing photo opportunities at every turn. After that, grab a bite and drink in the Times Square festive atmosphere. Bring your friends and family and enjoy the Times Square Lights Extravaganza this December. Experience our gardens come alive with bright, sparkling, festive lights.
One of the most important gatherings in SA's local government calendar is here. The 2025 SALGA National Members Assembly. 25 to 27 November at the Durban ICC. Catch the Clement Manyathela Show live from the National Members Assembly this Wednesday as we take you inside the conversations shaping the future of our municipalities. Don't miss all the expert insights, high-level discussions, and the voices of leaders committed to delivering better services to communities across the country. That's the Clement Manyathela Show, live from the 2025 SALGA National Members Assembly, this Wednesday on 702. EWN Business.
So, start of a new week at the end of a long process. The B20, the G20, a whole year of it, and a summit over the weekend. Stephen Critters, I was going to say still standing, at least you are sitting, but it was a long weekend, but a very interesting one. What do the markets think of it all?
Indeed, John, good afternoon. Feels like just yesterday we were together. So the JSE All Share is, I'm afraid to say, flat. It's down 0.03%, 109,613 points. Lots of corporate action on the JSE, but not all of it having a big impact. Financials are down 0.38, industrials down 0.78, resources up 1.39%. Naspers reporting a lot of strong growth there, companies in Europe and Latin America and India. Take a lot. We're buying a lot more on Take a Lot, John, and their revenue has gone up so much they say there's been a step change there. They're down 0.76% on the day. Netcare also having Netcare have had quite a strong day, actually. They're up nearly 3% on the day. Their profits up by 17% for the year to the end of September. Also lots of talk of new equipment. Every patient gets a watch to kind of monitor them when they're in the hospital, things like that. And then African banks saying their interest income was up by 4%, their non-interest income up by 39%, and PPC, they're down 3% today. Their headline earnings per share are up by 14%. Does seem to be seeing some more demand, which is quite exciting. Telkom down 5.44%, John. They had quite a strong week last week after it seemed were doing very well in the prepaid space. The Foschini Group down 3.61%, MTN down 3% as well. And then Prosus, which of course related to Naspers, they're down 2.75%. So those two sort of going together. And Tiger Brands results out later this week. They're down 1.6% on the day. Platinum miners stronger. Northam, Sibanye, Valterra all up by around 3%. Investec up 2% after being down last week. And We Buy Cars up 1.7%. In the US, expecting a positive open from Wall Street kind of around now-ish. Once again, there are expectations that there will in fact be an interest rate cut. People are also looking for fresh data after the shutdown of the US federal government. The gold price, $4,080.10 an ounce. Platinum, $1,531.26. Brent crude, slightly weaker, 62 $2.57. The rand to the dollar, 17.31 to the euro, 19.96 to the British pound, 22.65. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Right, at 27 minutes to 5, a little later than we should. Let's get the latest news headlines with Mpali Dlamini. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. President Cyril Ramaphosa is in Angola's capital, Luanda, today, attending the 7th African Union-Europe Union Summit. The two-day gathering will see leaders engaging on a range of issues as some regions on the globe battle ongoing conflict. It's hosted on the back of what's been lauded as a successful G20 summit in South Africa, the first ever on African soil. Zikona Miso reports.
The AU-EU summit is a platform for member states to strengthen both political and economic ties. It comes as this year marks the 25th anniversary of the partnership. As a member state of the AU, South Africa will prioritize support from the EU region for the second 10-year implementation plan of the AU Agenda 2063. The African Union will be led by host President João Lourenço as chairperson of the AU and Mahmoud Ali Youssef as chairperson of the AU Commission. Europe will be represented by leaders of France and Denmark, alongside President of the European Council, Antonio Costa. The summit will conclude tomorrow. Zikona Miso, Eyewitness News.
There are calls for the formation of a special task team to deal with the aftermath of the George building collapse. Families of victims and survivors of the May 2024 tragedy shared their struggles with processing claims at a public hearing last week. Parliament's Public Works and Infrastructure Portfolio Committee travelled to George to get a first-hand report from claimants as well as government officials. Kanyisile Fortuin spoke on behalf of a woman who lost her daughter. She says the situation requires a special team to help claimants deal with the various departments and processes.
Where is the humanity in these systems? When we enter these departments, they are in full colors with their arrogance. We ask a special task team to deal with this matter. That this matter is just not one matter. People lost their lives.
The committee instructed both the Social Development Department and the Labour Department to provide it with a full report and progress.
We can never be traumatized and go back to a Department of Labour, a Department of Social Development, and do not get comprehensive feedback. We will never get our families back. There is one thing we know. However, we want justice. And we want those that needs to be held accountable.
And SANParks says it's fully prepared to welcome increased visitor numbers to the Table Mountain National Park this summer. From April to October this year, the park recorded more than 1.7 million entries across its access points, an almost 20% increase compared to the same period in 2024. SANParks spokesperson JP Lowe says with more flight and cruise ship arrivals expected, this upward trend looks set to continue into December and January.
Table Mountain National Park now has 157 rangers deployed across the park, working closely with a 40-member SIM team, the Sea Air Mountain Special Operations Unit. This unit was bolstered earlier this year. Drone technology is also being introduced to support safety patrols and firefighting operations.
A cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Lows of between 11 and 14 degrees and highs of between 20 and 21.
Bumper-to-bumper traffic in Proclamation Hill, Pretoria. That's on Trans-Orania between Kwaga and Vormhagen. Melrose heading towards Midrand. You can still expect about a 20-minute delay. On the M1 northbound between Ethel Oaklands and Marlborough Drive.
A top story in EWN. President Cyril Ramaphosa is in Angola's capital, Luanda, today, attending the 7th African Union-European Union Summit.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
It's so fascinating, Director General, because, one of the things I've enjoyed doing is just study the language during these kind of discussions, because it's almost like every word matters, like the word you use, the comma, the full stop, because you need consensus. So one of the things I was really impressed by is how the summit has firmly placed the interests of the continent at the heart of conversations. Do you look at the declarations as South Africa and say, okay, we have achieved what we actually wanted to achieve out of this G20 summit?
Yes, I mean, every single one of South Africa's priorities was agreed. All of the priorities that we felt was important for us, but was also important for the African continent, was agreed to.
Clements Manyatela.
9 to 12 on 702.
South Africa is taking its place on the world stage at the B20 and G20 summits 2025. Telkom is proud to stand with the nation, building a digital future that reaches every community. Through reliable fiber, mobile and cloud networks, Telkom is connecting families, small businesses and young people to new opportunities. They're helping drive digital public infrastructure so services are easier to access for all. Telkom, the digital backbone of South Africa's future.
Smart Steve from Momentum. Hello.
Stevie, it's Clinton Myers, the Minister of National Treasures.
Mr. Minister, how can Momentum Insure help you?
This economy is not helping with the cost of my gusheshe, my tires, man.
Just get Momentum Insure's safety returns and get up to 30% cash back, even if you claim.
Is it true?
Stru's Bob, Mr. Minister. Visit momentum.co.za or call 0860 006 784. Momentum Insure, keeping you safe on your journey to success. Momentum Insure is an authorized non-life insurer. T's and C's apply.
Hey, no longer feeling like the man you used to be? The man who has inside jokes with complete strangers.
The fact is, 95% of men with low testosterone go untreated.
Vitamin High Performance Supplements for men helps recharge energy, regain lean muscle, and reload performance. Available at all good pharmacies and vitalamin.co.za.
Vitalamin. Don't get older, get better.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, 702 and 702 listeners. Thank you so much, John and team, for the topic this afternoon, because wow, this has really become a pandemic. I get over 5 calls in one day. And every second day, it's the same call for the same thing. And it's different numbers, different companies. And no matter how many times you block it, like the more you block it, the more they come. It's like you attract it. I don't even disclose that I don't even have debt anymore. All I ask is, all right, please can you review my debt for me and tell me, give me a breakdown of what my debt is and exactly how much I owe and who I owe. And the whole conversation changes. So this is really very frustrating, very annoying, and it's really disturbing. Thank you so much, Alex and Shirin.
Yeah, this has really stirred up a lot of conversation. By the way, if you missed my interaction with Jonathan Fairbairn, first of all, and then with Maya Fisher-French, this in regard to calls where people dupe you into somehow getting them involved in your debt situation, whether you actually have a debt situation or not. You can pick up that audio on primemediaplus.com. Pravesh, you're calling from Joburg South, and I believe you've had this experience as well. Good afternoon.
Yes, I have. Just to quickly tell you, so I had a call. It was about maybe it's almost a year now. It's almost going on to a year now. So, and I still haven't been sorted out. I had a call from a company called Budget Analyst based in Cape Town, and they're a registered company. I had to do all of the homework backward, and then I found out that they are registered, but the call went down as a debt consolidation.
Right.
So they had all of my information. They had all of my loan amounts that I owed, and so they went through each one of them, and they said that the banks are overcharging me by 68%.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, this. So what made it legit is that they had a three-way call with Nedbank on the line. So I thought it was legit because they had all my details.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually thought it was legit. So we went through each one, and they told me the amount I owed, how much they're going to reduce it by, and we just went through down the list. And then obviously I agreed with it. I thought I'm going to be having extra money in my back pocket. I thought these guys are actually helping us. And the next thing I saw on my bank statement was a debt review, a debit order.
Goodness.
Right. So yes, and then obviously I tried to get off this thing, and it was a mission because they said it's already in the process. It was, and then what happened was what they did was they eventually gave me a F-17 form. It's called a F-17 form where they take themselves off the responsibility of helping me to, in brackets, consolidate my debt. So they've taken themselves off the responsibility, but they still left me flagged.
Sure. I mean, thank you, Pravesh, and I'm sorry that happened to you, but what absolutely seems to happen is these companies are preying on a need and a sense of, I don't know if it's desperation, but certainly significant levels of anxiety. And then you get caught up in a whole bureaucracy of their making, which keep you snagged. It really is something that we need to find out more about. And above all, we need to find out what the National Credit Regulator or any other arm of government is actually going to do about this. We'll keep at it. 16 minutes to 5.
EWN Sport.
Preparations slowly taking shape for next month's Africa Cup of Nations. Hugo Bruce Tolakele with some choices to make.
Absolutely, John, and he's left out Gran Kekane and Toby Mbala. That's from his 54-player Bafana preliminary squad for next month's 2025 AFCON. Tembazwane has been selected despite having struggled with injuries, while there are call-ups from Mbegezeli Mbogazi, Talon Smith, Rile Mufugeng and Lyle Foster. Bruce will trim down the squad to 23 in the coming days, with South Africa set to go into camp in early December. On the continent, it was mixed fortunes for the South African sides in CAF competitions. Kaizer Chiefs lost 2-1 to Al Masri, while Stellenbosch were 1-0 winners over AS Otoho. In the Champions League, Mamelodi Sundowns made light work of St. Eloi Lupopo, running out 3-1 winners. Miguel Cardoso discussed the importance of starting their group stage campaign with a victory.
I expect a very, very tough group. It's a group that the way matches, all of them will be very tough. We saw yesterday the match that we saw, teams that have capacity, and only Mamelodi Sundowns in the highest level can cope with those challenges and arrive in the end. That is what is important in the first position. So we take the points with pleasure. Obviously, it's important, but we have already things to prepare and start working on the next opponent.
Marco Jansen finished with figures of 6 for 48 to help South Africa grab a first innings lead of 288. That's on day 3 of their second test against India, a day after smashing career best figures of 93. At stumps, the Proteas were 26 for no loss in their second innings, giving them an overall lead of 314.
If you bowl well, you get wickets, you can set batters up. Like now the ball is spinning, but it's not ragging all over the place, which is also nice. If you have to bowl well if you want to get wickets, and then also on the flip side, if you bat well, you will score runs. So for me, just trying to assess if the ball has that zip still, if that pace to the air. If the ball has the pace to the air, then you still have something to work with, which is nice.
And Kane Williamson has been named in New Zealand's 14-man test squad to face the West Indies in a 3-match series next month. The former captain retired from T20 internationals earlier this year and sat out the 2-test series away to Zimbabwe in July and August. Daryl Mitchell is also included and is expected to be fit, having suffered a minor groin injury in the first ODI against the West Indies 8 days ago. Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 14 minutes to 5, EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Chali has the very latest from out on the highways.
Well, at this stage, starting in Pretoria, Proclamation Hill, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic on Trans-Orania between Kwagga and Wormhagen. Melrose heading towards Sandton and Midrand. Expect about a 20-minute delay on the M1 northbound from Athol Oaklands all the way to Marlborough Drive. Calvin Alex area. Roadworks also causing heavy delays travelling towards Germiston. That's the N3 southbound between the Pretoria Interchange and London Road. And finally, Edenville, traffic is sluggish on the R24 westbound from Edenville Road to the Gilulis Interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. Like a businesswoman on the way to the airport after sleeping through her alarm. Bags in the back, boarding pass on the dashboard. She prays she'll make her flight.
Hope I make it.
The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic. It's the potential closing of a big deal. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005. In proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Joburg says, is there no way to hold the NCR accountable for neglecting their mandate and responsibility to serve and protect the consumer? Will registering a complaint against this sort of company with a Chapter 9 institution like the Public Protector be a futile exercise at this point? Veli says, 2014, I received a call from Lifeline Debt Solutions. They promised to cover my debts with banks and I would have to pay $1,500 a month. My problem, I thought it's consolidation. I volunteered to pay $3,000. They deducted for about 8 years with no statements sent to me. Till today, they are nowhere to be found. I'm in debt review and the banks are on my neck. Shireen calling us. Very good afternoon to you, Shireen. You have a story to share. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm calling from Centurion, and last year, September, I also received a call like this.
Yes.
The company was Liberty Debt Solutions.
Okay.
And the lady told me they work with the NCR to try and help consumers reduce the interest rate on the existing loans and so on. And so anyway, she asked me, she had all my details somehow. She had my ID number, and then she asked me for a signature to get further details on my credit profile. So I signed this for her, and she came back to me, and then, when I cross-questioned her, she said, no, she's going to get a colleague to call me back.
Right.
This colleague phoned me while I was driving home, and then she said, no, she'll give me a call the next morning. So, and then she'll help me fill out the Form 16. So I didn't even know what was the Form 16. And that night I came home and I Googled what's a Form 16, and I thought, okay, this is credit debt review, and I'm not getting involved. The next morning, I didn't receive a call. I tried phoning her back on that number, no reply. So that was it for the week. The next Saturday, I tried to use one of my credit cards, and I knew I had, sufficient credit on that, and it wouldn't work. And this was the long weekend of the 24th of September last year. And then I couldn't get hold of anybody. The Monday contacted them. But once I started Googling, I've got all these Hello Peter reviews on how people were scammed just like me. Bottom line, I realized that they put me on debt review without my consent. With using that signature, they populated this Form 16.
Shireen, I mean, the patterns seem to be very similar, and a number of people keep saying, well, the National Credit Regulator needs to get involved in trying to sort these out. Shireen, I'm really sorry that you've been dragged into this really appalling mess, and I think it's fair to say, people like yourself ought to get more protection from this. We'll keep at this story. It's 9 minutes to 5.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
So a very interesting story that I read on Daily Maverick. Joy Watson is the author, and it's about a forensic nurse. Now, I must admit, this is a job title that I'm not at all familiar with, but it's an interview with someone called Nontutuzelo Ntwana, who talks about 2 decades that she spent working with survivors of rape and assault and helping them to, first of all, just get a sense of themselves and try and give them some of the dignity that's been so brutally taken away. But then, crucially, setting about the process of recording important things, J88 medical legal forms, collecting DNA, documenting injuries, and so on. The point of this story, apart from the a representation of the extraordinary work that Nontutuzelo does, is the fact that she is one of only 2 full-time forensic nurses in the Western Cape. Given the scale of GBV, that is an extraordinary statistic. What makes it worse is as budgets for medical services are being cut, she is in danger of losing her job. So let's understand the bigger picture here. And we ask these questions in the light of Friday's announcement that there would be that gender-based violence has been declared a national state of disaster. Is that going to work if we are actually stripping away some of the key architecture that ought to make things better for people? My guest is Renelle E. Stevens, Program Director and Acting Executive Director at an organization called Modack, which is engaged with these issues and trying to get a better service for South Africa's violated and abused women. Ms. Stevens, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time. What's going on there? Why do we firstly have so few forensic nurses, given how crucial the work seems to be? And secondly, why aren't we setting about trying to get more rather than cutting those jobs? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Yes, doing well, thanks. Hope you're well.
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. I mean, that's a very big question that you're asking, and one that I also very recently came into. And so maybe just for full context, and the reason why I'm on this call is that Sister Ntwana was actually one of our forensic nurses, and she had worked at a site in Mitchell's Plain. To tell you the truth, the reason why there aren't as many forensic nurses is actually still something that's quite troubling to me. But I do think that it's a matter of what is available and where one can actually study to further your qualification, not just as a registered nurse, but as a specific forensic nurse. I think that it's a skill that is really, really sought after. We felt that we were extremely lucky being able to find Sister Ntwana, especially since we wanted to open a forensic, unit as a TCC in Mitchell's Plain, just because of the mere need for it. But also the fact that, at the time we didn't have a doctor that could help us open a 24-hour service. And so having the forensic nurse meant that she was able to perform a lot of similar duties, but also at a rate that is affordable. And also being someone who has done this work and not have had a permanent job ever since she had started her role, it made sense for us to have her come on board as our program, as part of the Modack's program and offering.
So let's hear about the work that she does. I've described it in its bare terms, but maybe you can give us a sense, Ms. Stevens, of just how crucial the work she does is at the moment when somebody who's been violated, traumatized, feels extremely vulnerable, actually needs not only a service, but a service given in a particular way.
Yeah, with absolute care. Sister Ntwana is probably the gentlest person that you'll meet. I don't know if that photo is actually just giving you a good sense about that, but the role of the forensic nurse is one that will also be similar for a doctor, forensic doctor. And essentially what that means is that a survivor would come to the Tutuzela Care Center. They'll be met by a first responder. A first responder is someone who is trained to do containment, so be able to get a client to a space where they are able to share what had happened and to explain to them what will be happening in the Tutuzela space itself. The Tutuzela Care Center, as you may know, is set up to be a one-stop center where a survivor can get all the care that they need in that immediate moment. So it is in containment, it is the medical forensic examination, it is a shower, it is something to eat, it is the medication that is life-saving, and then also to open up a case without having to leave the center. And the promise is that that all happens within a 2-hour period, which again is in most senses unheard of, but it is a service that is available in South Africa. And where the forensic nurse particularly comes in, her role is to be able to do that very sensitive probing examination, a medical examination that will be used as forensic evidence should a case be opened on the day, later on, if it's not something that the survivor immediately wants to be able to do.
Right.
But it is untampered information or evidence that will be used in a court of law and that will actually hold as evidence. So it's quite a crucial role that you absolutely need to be trained for. You need to understand what the rape kit needs to actually be measuring, what probes you need to be able to capture, and also what needs to happen as a next step from the medical forensic examination.
Thank you so much, Renelle E. Stevens, Program Director, Acting Executive Director at an organization out in Mitchell's Plain called Mosaic. And it really does raise questions. I know we're talking about an individual, but the fact that there are just 2 forensic nurses for the whole of the Western Cape would suggest there is a weakness there. And it brings into focus the conversation we started having on Friday, that what does it actually mean to declare gender-based violence as a national state of disaster if you do that on the one hand and resources for actually dealing with the consequences of GBV are shrinking all the time. Maybe you've got a view on this. Maybe you've got direct experience to share with us. Give us a call. 072 702 1702, 2 minutes to 5.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
One body has been recovered from a river in KwaZulu-Natal as a search for 2 more missing people continues. The victims were washed away yesterday during floods in New Hanover in the Midlands.
The teams are working to recover one body, that of a female, that is entrapped in the river. The embassy for Kokta, Reverend Tlasi Buthelezi, has assured residents that disaster management teams will work right throughout the clock to ensure that those that are missing are recovered.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
When you train for results, you don't quit halfway. Stay on the growth track and earn up to 7.87% interest at maturity with a 12-month electronic fixed deposit account. Lock in for maximum growth and enjoy guaranteed returns without monthly fees. Hashtag Get Money Fit with Nedbank. Visit nedbank.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
This festive, when your family gathers, feed them the Nando's Festive Fill-Up meal. Feed Auntie, who's in charge of the key to that storeroom. And feed that niece that makes the strict grandparents do TikTok challenges. And that cousin that watches the same movie that comes in part 1, 2, 3, 4, and many more. Yeah, you can feed it too. Gather them all for the Nando's Festive Fill-Up meal for only $3.99. Eat at Nando's and pay 40 Rand less. Nando's, oh, what a place.
You are not dreaming. You are repeating. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
This is EWN.
KZN residents urged to avoid building in flood-prone areas. MPs welcome a probe into 17 South Africans allegedly stuck in the Ukraine. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The KwaZulu-Natal government is pleading with residents not to build homes in areas prone to flooding. This after several homes built near the Njasuti River in New Hanover were washed away by floods yesterday. The province has experienced severe downpours with hailstorms resulting in damaging flooding. While rescue teams have managed to evacuate dozens of people who were trapped to safe ground, one body was recovered while a search for 2 others continues. KZN Premier Tamintuli.
Our citizen must really respond to the alerts and even to our call, because we've been on record saying there is a need to relocate some buildings which are in dangerous areas, flooding areas in the banks of the river.
Nduli says the disaster could have been avoided.
If that had to be a call to be responded to quite urgently, maybe we might be speaking a different language, not to say we've lost lives.
Chairperson of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on International Relations, Polo, has welcomed an investigation into reports of 17 South Africans stranded in the Ukraine. Polo says the committee has noted the developments around the issue after they were allegedly lured to the war-torn country by members of the MK party. Former President Jacob Zuma's daughter and MK party member, Duduzile Zuma Sambudla, is alleged to have recruited the men who are reportedly now forced to fight against their will in the Ukraine. Babalondenze reports.
Police on Sunday confirmed that they are investigating claims that Duduzile Zuma Sambudla and other members of the MK party tricked 17 men into fighting for Russia in Ukraine. Zuma's other daughter, Nkosazana Zuma Mncube, also accused her stepsister, Zuma Sambudla, of sending the men to Russia before they ended up on the front lines in the ongoing conflict. Ammapiano says the committee is pleased that the South African Police Service will now formally investigate the matter. In a statement today, Ammapiano says the committee welcomes the developments and the committee will seek further clarification from the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. He said the police investigation should help establish how the South African men were recruited, processed and platooned in the Russian army. Ammapiano says any underground or parallel structure that works against the government or DIRCO should be exposed. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News.
NPA head Shamila Batoyi has pointed out signs of alleged questionable conduct and emails from embattled Johannesburg prosecution's boss Andrew Chauke at the inquiry into his conduct. The inquiry is investigating Chauke's fitness to hold office following a complaint laid by Batoyi. Chauke is accused of making politically influenced prosecutorial decisions in high-profile matters. These include the 2012 prosecution of former KZN Hawks boss Johan Boysen and his Cato Manor Organised Crime Unit. After the panel asked Batoyi to show direct links between her allegations and the evidence she has given, Batoyi has combed through email correspondence between Chauke and his KZN counterpart, Advocate Cyril Mlotshwa.
Advocate Chauke says to Advocate Mlotshwa, if this makes you uncomfortable, please indicate so that I may urgently take the matter up with the acting NDPP as well as the minister. Chairperson, for a DPP to say this to an acting DPP, to threaten, I'm not sure if that's the right word, but to report to the NDPP as well as the minister, I'm not sure what the purpose was.
In the courts now, alleged underworld gang boss Nafis Modack has denied paying a disbarred attorney to provide legal services to a self-confessed hitman. Modack is being cross-examined for his alleged involvement in the attempted murder of attorney William Booth 5 years ago. The incident forms part of the 122 charges Modack and his 14 co-accused face in the Western Cape High Court. Carlo Peterson reports.
State Prosecutor Greg Wolmerans continued questioning Nafis Modack today about allegedly orchestrating a hit on attorney William Booth in April 2020. Wolmerans took Modack back to the evidence of self-confessed hitman Mr. A, who last year told the court he worked for Modack as a gunman. Mr. A told the court co-accused Ziad Pool paid him to perform at least 4 murders in 2019, including a hit on Booth allegedly on behalf of Modack. Mr. A's attempts to murder Booth were halted in December 2019 when he was arrested for possession of an illegal firearm. Modack denies paying former attorney Gary Newmark, who was disbarred in 2012, to provide legal services to Mr. A after his arrest.
Mr. A said he didn't pay an absolute cent to Mr. Newmark because Mr. A believed you covered that bill, and in fact that was Mr. Newmark's evidence as well. Is that so? That's false.
Modack will be back in the witness box tomorrow for his cross-examination to continue. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News, Western Cape High Court.
And in Belgium, unions have kicked off their 3 days of demonstrations against government's proposed spending cuts and labour law changes. The next few days will see a phased-out approach resulting in closed schools and disrupted train and air travel. The strike was called by the main Belgian unions, who are in a standoff with Prime Minister Bart de Wever. De Wever is trying to impose a major austerity effort through a series of unprecedented structural reforms. Gold is trading at $4,069.89 an ounce. The rand is at 17.28 to the dollar, 22.64 to the pound, 19.94 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $62.56 a barrel.
In Bryanston, heading towards Fourways, expect some delays on the N1 southbound between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive in Blue Hills. There's traffic pressure on the R55 from Main Road to Tamboti, and in Melrose, expect about a 20-minute delay. M1 northbound from Ethel Oaklands to Marlborough Drive.
In your sport, Marco Jansen takes 6 as the Proteas close in on Test Series win against India. Arsenal thump Tottenham Hotspur to extend lead in Premier League title race, and a depleted Springboks to take on Wales.
A cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 11 degrees, peaking at 20. Pretoria 14 and 21, and Vereeniging 14 and 20 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour: the KZN government is pleading with residents not to build their homes in areas prone to flooding.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 8 minutes past 5. You know that point on which Mbali Dlamini just ended that bulletin, and she's back, by the way, with us at 5:30 with an update. Authorities urging people not to build homes, shelters, what do you call them, close to rivers. We've been appealing to people not to do that for years. If they don't live there, somebody else will, it would seem, in a city that is, first of all, under huge pressure from in-migration, from both within South Africa and beyond our borders. And secondly, I just think once you move people away from those places, somebody else will move in. Until we have a comprehensive housing policy and set of housing strategies, I wonder if those appeals will ever work. They simply have not worked up to now. Maybe you've got an idea for a solution. I mean, do you actually put up fences? Do you make it physically impossible for people to move into those areas? I don't know. I don't have an answer. Perhaps you do. 072 702 1702. Coming up shortly, we are going to be taking a closer look at the city of Johannesburg. Now the G20 is gone, it's back to the business of delivering services, fixing problems, and trying to prevent this city from deteriorating more than it already has. And it's really gone backwards, I think, a great deal. But a very interesting piece has come out today, written by the Daily Maverick journalist Anna Cox, in which she highlights what some of the city of Johannesburg's executives actually earn. City Power, pick it up, Joburg Water, and some of the other entities. We'll discuss those salaries and whether we get value for them as ratepayers shortly, with Professor Alex van den Heever joining us from the Wits School of Governance. And then a tale of two polos, not cars, but logos on luxury goods and clothing in particular. There's been some change now, and it looks like there will only be one uncontested polo. More on that with Professor Owen Dean from Stellenbosch University at about 22 minutes past 5.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, Dr. John. My experience with this debt, whatever companies, every time they call, the first question I ask is, where did you get my numbers from? They'll talk about some database, South African, what database, and then I will ask them, so which company? Because I know, because of the Poppy Act, no one is supposed to give out my number or my details or my personal details. And then I just ask them, which company put me there? And then I simply say, if you can't name the company, then we're not having this conversation. Up until you give me the name of that company that put my name on that database, then we're not having this conversation.
Afternoon, John. I'm not surprised that no one is available from NCR to do an interview. I mean, we've lost count of the number of shows from the Davy Show involving financial fraud, and those financial fraud highlights the loopholes that are there from NCRs. And these people are getting away with it because of the so-called NCR that doesn't seem to get a grip on this financial fraud.
Yeah, and many of you are actually expressing negative views about the National Credit Regulator. We did try to get them on the show. So far, no luck. They said they're not available at all this week. But in fairness, this from Sibongile, CSD Consulting, also scammed me, but the NCR did help out. So some people feeling that they at least have had them in their corner. It's 13 past 5.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. SAA now operates 2 flights a day to Gaborone with morning and afternoon departures. Book now at flysaa.com. Karabo Chali with the details.
Well, at this stage in the Bryanston area, expect some delays. N1 southbound between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. Blue Hills, traffic pressure on the R55 between Main Road and Tamboti, while in Melrose, expect about a 20-minute delay heading towards Midrand. That's the M1 northbound between Ethel Oaklands and Marlborough Drive. In Calvin, Alex area, roadworks causing heavy delays. This is towards Germiston. On the N3 southbound between the Patloo Interchange and London Road, while in Edenville, traffic sluggish. R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulis Interchange. Devland expect some delays on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue due to ongoing roadworks. And finally, in Proclamation Hill, Pretoria, we still have bumper-to-bumper traffic on Trans-Orania between Gwaga and Vomhagen. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Experience Johannesburg to Gaborone with South African Airways, where comfort meets convenience. Enjoy premium service, flexible morning and afternoon departures, and the warm hospitality SAA is known for. For a limited time, return fares start from just 2,762 Rand, all inclusive. Book by 4 December at flysaa.com. South African Airways, bringing you closer. T's and C's apply.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Yeah, so just to kind of restate the context, I suppose, we now move on from a specific set of things that government decided to fix up in time for and because of the G20 summit, and now it's back to the business of trying to run the city of Johannesburg. That's why a piece by Anna Cox really caught my eye, as I said a little bit earlier, and she looks at the budgets that have been allocated to pay senior executives and heads of various entities such as City Power, Joburg Water, Pick It Up, the Joburg Road Agency. And they are saying, the article seems to be saying, that a lot of them earn rather a lot of money. The head of City Power, nearly 5 million Rand a year. The head of Pick It Up, nearly 4.5. The head of Joburg Water, 3.75 million. The head of the Joburg Roads Agency, 4.07 million. The head of the Joburg Property Company, 3.55. And there are similar numbers, although I have given you most of the high ones, but there are a good few more that are well over 3.5. So how do we assess what these salaries are and what kind of value we get from them? The story does say that Joburg pays more than similar entities around the country, that there are bans that have been set, but Joburg says they're not bound by them. Professor Alex van den Heever is at the Wits School of Governance and joins us now. Prof, welcome and thanks very much for your time. On the one hand, we could get fixed on a number, but if we're to interrogate it and give it some meaning, a couple of questions come to mind for me. Is this a market-related amount of money? And secondly, if people are responsible for things that they don't entirely get to control. For example, Joburg Water will say, I would fix the pipes if I had the money. Then how do we assess their performance? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Well, what's difficult in this situation is the corporate governance designs overall for these public entities.
Right.
And whether or not they've actually been structured to eliminate conflicts of interest. And the moment you have conflicts of interest, then boards appoint people into very high-paying positions who aren't meant to be there. And then the very fact that they're high-paying positions means that they attract patronage. But the problem that we have in Johannesburg is that these entities that have these very high-paying individuals have performed very, very poorly, and they show virtually no vision in how they take forward the city. So if you were paying people that amount of money and you had proper corporate governance that was independent and operating in the interests of Johannesburg, you would have seen more. But we see far less. And it's questionable as to whether these public entities have been properly designed.
Yeah. So in that context, I mean, any idea how they might arrive at these figures, these remuneration packages?
Well, once you have potential political appointments into the board structure, it means that the appointment of the chief executive or the accounting officer of the entity becomes problematic because they're not there because they're the best person for the job. And they're also not held to account for what they do properly. So the something like City Power, I mean, they have performed incredibly badly. I mean, they are truly appalling in what they have done, and they're operating with a systematic deficit. That's not where you pay people lots of money. The Joburg Property Company is a complete catastrophe. It's allowed hijacked buildings all over the place. It's quite clearly irregular everywhere, and they're operating not even in compliance with city bylaws. So you can't be paying somebody that amount of money when they're performing so badly. And so it suggests that there's a problem with the nature of the public entity and certainly the corporate governance design, which is not getting the right leadership in place, and therefore the organization is performing poorly. And if you look at some of them, they're paying a lot of the top executives. It's not just the CEO. They're paying the top executive team enormous amounts of money as well. Most of the money goes to the top executive team, not to the organization itself. So it's so there's a lot that's not proper in what's going on.
Is one of the problems, Prof, that actually there is no shared definition of performance, and that given the kind of political framing of performance, where by and large we've had one city administration after another that has been extremely defensive about what they do and presents pictures of the service they're delivering that is really at substantial variance from residents' experiences, that to go to them and say, well, what you're paying, we're not getting value for, you don't even have a set of common benchmarks for what performance might look like.
Well, theoretically, you would have. I mean, but organizations should be like these, should be determining what their performance parameters are. But if I had to look, for instance, at the sort of Joburg Property Company and the whole infrastructure strategy, there's almost no strategy there. And when I look at Joburg City Power, which is absolutely crucial to a major economic hub of South Africa, it is functionally bankrupt. It operates where its revenue is at a shortfall, considerable shortfall from its required expenditure, and it can't maintain the billing systems. And under those circumstances, in a private environment, the top executive team would have been gone.
Yes.
So there's an accountability relationship that is broken here. So the community, I can't get accountability from City Power. I can't get it from the Joburg Property Company. You can't get it from Parks. So you've got all sorts of bylaws that are not being properly administered throughout the city. And it's not just the bylaws. You just see no vision. Aside from just doing the basics, you want much more. And certainly in a city like Johannesburg, and we don't get close to that. So, yeah, we should have high-performing organizations, but when they don't perform properly, it's really a broken accountability structure. People who are affected have no real say in who these people are that are appointed into these positions.
Thanks so much, Professor Alex van den Heever, joining us from the Wits School of Governance. Your thoughts on what you've heard? 072 702 1702. It's 22 minutes past 5.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Okay, let's get into this story now. Polo. I don't know if you are a fan of the Polo brand. The question has, though, been on more than one occasion, well, which Polo brand? Because there was a Polo South Africa, or South African Polo, and there's Ralph Lauren Polo. And I remember doing a radio show about this a little while back, where there's a mounted polo player and horse. It's not a brand that I wear, but many people do, and many people really like it. And the thing about the two different brands was the orientation, the way in which the rider and the horse were facing on the two brands was different. But now it's all about to change. It would seem that the Polo clothing brand in South Africa is being acquired by the United States luxury apparel group Ralph Lauren, which has its own Polo clothing brand. And this went to the Competition Commission, which has approved the transaction. So it's an interesting story with a little bit of history. And to talk about it, we're joined now by Professor Owen Dean, Emeritus Professor at Stellenbosch University. He's a professor in intellectual property law. Prof, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time. This does seem to sort out something, but at one time, this was a fairly tough legal battle, if I'm not mistaken. Why do you think it's being settled now?
Well, good afternoon to you. And it has been a long-standing legal battle going back probably over 30 years. I practiced as an attorney for 50 years, specializing in trademark and copyright law. And as circumstance would have it, I actually acted on behalf of Ralph Lauren in 1977 when they challenged the adoption of the Polo trademark by LA Group here in South Africa. So I have an intimate knowledge of the whole history of the case. And I don't know how much detail you want me to go into, but by and large, in the early 1970s, there was quite a common practice for local traders to go overseas, look at successful overseas trademarks, come back to South Africa, adopt them and register them.
Yes.
And this is what Ralph Lauren believed was the case way back in the 1970s. And they instituted court proceedings against LA Group in order to reclaim, as it were, their own brands. And the matter kind of gave birth to about 3 or 4 different court applications. There was a passing off case, there was a copyright infringement case. And at the end of the day, a settlement was reached. This was about the time when a lot of international companies, American companies in particular, like Kodak, for instance, were disinvesting from South Africa. And it would seem as though Ralph Lauren just decided that it wasn't worth the candle in those days. And they gave up the chase. They entered into an agreement with LA Group in terms of which Ralph Lauren, the American company, would have the rights for Polo and the Polo player device in relation to cosmetics, and the local company would have the rights in relation to clothing.
Okay.
But one important distinction was made in reaching this agreement, and that is that in the Polo, the Ralph Lauren version of the so-called Polo player device, that's the picture of a horseman riding a horse, the horse was pointing from right to left. And as part of the settlement, the local company were obliged to change that order and have their device showing the horse facing from left to right.
Yeah.
And that position then obtained for very, very many years until at some subsequent stage, Ralph Lauren decided that they had perhaps been unwise to enter into this settlement.
Yes.
And they looked at to see whether the situation could be reversed, and which has now happened.
Yeah, it's interesting. So not just reverse the horse, but reverse the whole situation. So the agreement now is that if you see any Polo products, and I just want your clarity on this, Prof, if you see any Polo products in stores from I don't know how long these things take to come into effect. This will be Ralph Lauren Polo, and there's going to be no other.
That is correct. That is my understanding of the settlement that has now been reached. There has been a capitulation, if you like, on the part of the local company. They have transferred all their rights or all their entitlements, lock, stock and barrel, to Ralph Lauren. And so there will no longer be this dichotomy of two different Polo brands being produced by two different companies. The decks have been cleared for the American company to come now in and exploit the local market in its entirety.
Okay, so if you are a Polo fan and you keep buying their stuff in the future, this time you can be absolutely certain you're getting Ralph Lauren Polo and not the South African Polo. Many thanks, Professor Owen Dean, Emeritus Professor at Stellenbosch University. If, by the way, this was a brand that you really liked, did you mind? Did you even know? I mean, I remember at the time when I covered this, I think I might have been at Kai FM at the time. Some people were just surprised. They said, I never even bothered to look in which direction the horse was going, left to right or right to left. Not just the horse, of course, but the polo player as well. But anyway, if it mattered to you, then maybe drop me a note. If you couldn't have cared less, you just like the color and the fit, well, that's interesting as well. 0727021702, 28 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, come to the end of the day's trade at the start of the first day of the post-G20 era, which is not an era at all. So I'll stop talking nonsense and ask you how it went.
From nonsense to numbers, which is bigger.
Yes.
Indeed. The JSE All Share, a bit of green at the end of the day, John, up 0.29%, 109,962 points. Financials down 0.25%. Industrials down 0.6%. Resources pulling up the index at the end of the day, up 2.25%. Quite a few results out today. So Netcare up 3.78% on the day. Their profits up 17% for the year to the end of September. We'll speak to their CEO, Richard Friedland, on the Money Show. Prosus and Naspers reporting more strong growth in their companies. Takealot seeing order growth of 16%. We'll speak to their chief. You'll hear from their chief financial officer, Nico Maré, on the Money Show as well. More questions, of course, to come around what's happening at Takealot. And then African Bank reporting their interest income was up by 4%, but their non-interest income up by 39%. 5 years ago, John, they had 1.2 million customers. Now they have over 6 million customers. Sure, more people have more bank accounts than they used to with more different banks, but even so, that's extraordinary growth. And then Oceania up 1.65. They did report lower profits this year, but they did have a good increase in operating profit from their African operations. Telkom down nearly 6% and MTN down nearly 3% on the day. Communications companies down. Sasol down 3.28. Exara down nearly 2.5%. There we are. Prosus down 2.37 at the moment. Some of the platinum miners are up. Sibanye, Valterra, Harmony, all of them up very strongly today. Sappi up 3.13 as well on the day. And Anglo Gold up 2.78. While it seems Investec is recovering a little bit after quite a tough time last week. In the US, markets turning positive today, again about interest rate expectations, I suppose. The Dow Jones is up 0.15, the Nasdaq's up nearly 2%, the S&P 500 is up 1.02, and the gold price, $4,088.22, platinum $1,540.71, Brent crude $62.41, the rand to the dollar $17.32 to the euro, $19.95 to the British pound, $22.65. So on the Money Show, we'll hear from Naspers, we'll hear from Oceania, we'll hear from African Bank, we'll hear from PPC. There's someone I missed. Well, they'll be angry with me a little later when I speak to them. Also tonight, we'll talk about the business of art, by which I mean art for money. Not you and I painting, John, unless there's a talent that I didn't know. But actually the art of investing in art and fine cars. Didn't know you could get more money out of cars. I always thought they're just appreciated. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Yeah. Thanks, Stephen. Just before we get to the news, by the way, just acknowledging that Polo's story, businessexplainer.co.za, has a great summary which we used to guide that interview with Owen Dean. And if you missed that, you can go to primemediaplus.com. The latest news headlines now with Mbali Dlamini. It's 28 minutes to 6.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The Johannesburg Emergency Service has warned faith-based organizations against visiting rivers and streams for rituals with more heavy rain expected. The South African Weather Service has issued several warnings for inclement weather in parts of the country. Authorities have warned that in some parts of Johannesburg, the severe weather conditions could lead to flooding. EMS officials say residents should avoid conducting baptism and cleansing rituals at this time because the water levels are too high. Joburg EMS spokesperson Robert Molaudzi.
From our side as the City of Johannesburg Emergency Management Services, together with our disaster management monitoring teams, our aquatic rescue unit, we still remain on high alert, monitoring all 7 regions of the city for any emergencies.
In the courts now, the prosecution team in the trial of alleged underworld gang boss Nafis Modack has used a timeline of events today to show that Modack was alleged behind the attempted murder of prominent attorney William Booth. Modack and 14 others face 122 charges for various crimes, including the attempted murder of Booth 5 years ago. Prosecutors used a thread of circumstantial evidence today to place Modack at the center of the attempt. Carlo Peterson reports.
State Prosecutor Greg Vormerans today used cell phone evidence and the testimonies of witnesses to implicate Nafis Modack as the mastermind of the attempt on attorney William Booth's life at his Higgovale home in April 2020. Evidence shows co-accused Zane Killian started profusely pinging Booth after another co-accused, Jacques Cronje, was arrested for kidnapping and intimidation related to an alleged extortion attempt involving one of Booth's clients. Cronje was arrested after Booth lodged a criminal complaint against him.
This is all within 24 hours of Cronje's arrest. Is that timing all just a coincidence?
I can't answer that, but I didn't give no instructions.
Modack insists Killian was part of a conspiracy against him on behalf of his alleged underworld rival Jerome Donkey Boyson and corrupt cops. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News, Western Cape High Court.
And President Cyril Ramaphosa is in Angola's capital, Luanda, today, attending the 7th African Union-European Union Summit. The 2-day gathering will see leaders engaging on a range of issues as some regions on the globe battle ongoing conflict. It's hosted on the back of what's been lauded as a successful G20 summit in South Africa, the first ever on African soil. Zikona Miso reports.
The AU-EU Summit is a platform for member states to strengthen both political and economic ties. It comes as this year marks the 25th anniversary of the partnership. As a member state of the AU, South Africa will prioritize support from the EU region for the second 10-year implementation plan of the AU Agenda 2063. The African Union will be led by host President João Lourenço as chairperson of the AU and Mahmoud Ali Yusuf as chairperson of the AU Commission. Europe will be represented by leaders of France and Denmark, alongside President of the European Council, Antonio Costa. The summit will conclude tomorrow. Zikona Miso, Eyewitness News.
A cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Lows of between 11 and 14 degrees and highs of between 20 and 21.
Travelling towards Boksburg, expect more than a 30-minute delay in Germiston N12 eastbound between the R24 split and Jet Park Road. In Bryanston, travelling towards Four Ways, also expect some delays on the N1 southbound between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive.
The top story in EWN, the Johannesburg Emergency Service has warned faith-based organizations against visiting rivers and streams with more heavy rain expected.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
What were some of the main takeaways for you from COP30?
One of the takeaways for us, basically around the COP30, was that the conference managed to agree on certain things. Number one, the forest finance was actually basically one of the things that was agreed upon. It talks about the long-term reliable finance for the countries to protect their forests.
Thabo Sibeko is a programs manager at Earthlife Africa. Reflections on the COP30, which was held in Belém in Brazil, concluding on Saturday.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
You can become a victim of a legal problem: wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Hollywood Bets invites you to take the lead. The sizzling summer competition is giving you a chance to bask in horse racing glory and blaze into red-hot rewards. Bet 50 Rand or more on horse racing online or at your nearest branch, and you could win a share of 1 million Rand in prizes. Enjoy a star-studded lineup of equestrian events this summer and settle up for a season of success. Bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
After a short migration, the family arrives at the premier resort, rich in food, drink, and entertainment. The young, freed from classroom captivity, head straight for Kids Club and the safety of the herd. The adult male meanders to the scuba center, while the matriarch basks by the pool.
Book your resort escape to Knysna, East London, Scottborough, or Sunny Pass at premierhotels.co.za.
702 and the Discount Foundation are shining the spotlight on the health matters you want to know more about. Here's what we explored this month.
What I've experienced working with young people is the massive lack of father figures is actually playing out in a specific way.
So where do we start?
The younger you can get these kids, the more easy and deceptive they are. Also, on the other side, in sports teams, there's always been this culture of initiation. If we have to look back in Modack, with those boys. So it's almost like sick masculinity that just keeps on repeating itself. Hence, the boys are actually doing what they're doing. If we can get that out of teams, then we can actually nip it in the bud.
In Conversation on Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by the Discount Foundation, caring for the community on 702.
702. WhatsApp John
On 072
702
1702.
Hi, Uncle John. I hope you're well. I'd just like to make a comment on the question that you asked about how people are driving and does it make other people nervous on the road. Yes, I 100% agree with you. Yes, it makes people nervous when people sit on your bumper and they push you off the road and swerving in between left and right. Yes, correct. But on the flip side now, I'm not justifying this. Please don't misunderstand me. There are people that are inconsiderate on the road. For example, you'll get people that's sitting on the extreme right lane doing 80, 100, or either chatting on their phone or WhatsApping, and they're not considerate about the people behind them. That forces other people to start overtaking from the left. That's just my comment. Thank you.
John, some people are so obstinate. They are told not to build houses next to a river or next to a dam because during the floods, they're going to be wiped out. And guess what? Stubbornly, they all go and build there. And come rain times, they get wiped off. And it becomes the government's problem now. Yeah, this is South Africa we are living in. This is Taru from Deep Cliff. Thank you very much.
How's it? Hope you're well. I have a little Polo or Ralph Lauren story for you. In 1995, I went to go live in London. And, I was always into fashion. I loved my fashion. And I got to work in a polo shirt. And these guys looked at this and they just kept on shaking their heads. I was like, what the F, And I had a long debate with them because remember back then, Polo was positioned as Ralph Lauren in South Africa. Only to find that the following day, a guy came with the original Ralph Lauren shirt. And the horses, if you look at the horse, I think as the professor said, the one was coming from the right side and then the other one was coming from the left side. So it was a point of difference. So it was quite, I wouldn't say embarrassing, but naive. We had been in sanctions and we thought that we're giving it the large. And Polo never said that they were Ralph Lauren, but there was always a strong association with Ralph Lauren. So that's my Ralph Lauren / Polo story. Cheers, mate, and keep up the good work. Siyabulela mdala.
Yeah, it's a lovely story, that, because I remember when this thing became a story in the first place, a lot of people were saying, well, I thought I was getting Ralph Lauren. Now, Natasha asks, is the Polo shop in Sandton not for the sport polo? Well, I've never been to the shop because, as I mentioned, it's not my thing. But I just went online, and no, this is not for polo. For example, they sell kids' sandals. So no, I don't think so. They sell golfers' clothing and golfers' dressing. They also sell homeware. So no, Natasha, if you are keen to acquire something that would get you involved in the sport of polo, of course, you would need a horse first. You would not get kitted out, I don't think, at the polo shop in Sandton City. But hey, maybe you work there and maybe you do kit out polo players. Like I said, what do I know? It's 18 minutes to 6.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele, busy time in sport, games played, plans being laid for the African Cup of Nations, and of course the cricketers doing very, very well indeed as the rugby players prepare for the last game of the year. What do you got?
Well, John, India faces series defeat after they were bowled out for 201 by South Africa on day 3 of their second test, as Marco Jansen took 6 for 48. The tourists then closed on 26 without any loss, giving them a lead of 314 runs and makes them firm favourites to seal a 2-0 series victory. After the day's play, Jansen discussed if India's batting is vulnerable.
I don't think it's a vulnerability thing. I just think it's the game situation. It's very difficult. It's like when your team's a bit behind the 8 ball. For any batter, that's quite difficult to assess because you have to get used to conditions. Then you have to figure out a plan, and then you have to try and put pressure back on the opposition. So I think, and that's Test cricket. Sometimes you have to fight it out. You have to dig deep, and you have to find a way.
Mateus Cunha is out for Manchester United's Premier League clash against Everton tonight, having suffered an accident in training. That news will be a blow for the Red Devils, who are looking to stretch their 5-game unbeaten run, while this weekend Ruben Amorim marked a year in charge of the club.
Playing every game in Premier League, you can sense that everything can change so fast because all the teams can win any game. And if you see the bottom, they have a lot of points. So everything can change in one moment. So I don't like to say the storm is over, but we are more prepared for any storm in this moment. So let's take this sense of urgency to every game.
Kaizer Chiefs are reportedly involved in an ownership claim, with City Press reporting that a 36-year-old man wants a 50% stake in the club, which he claims is rightfully his. Pretoria businessman Dumelo Salamola claims that his late father Eric had bought 50% of the club's shares. He further adds that he's been excluded from the dividends payments from the club, which he says should come from the alleged share ownership. Over to rugby, where Rassie Erasmus says the Springboks have achieved some of the objectives that management set out at the beginning of the season, but they can get better. They strengthened their position as the world's number 1 side following a 24-13 win over Ireland, which was their first victory in Dublin since 2012, and will close out their campaign with a clash against Wales.
We're realistic. Australia gave us shots. The first match against New Zealand we lost. We lost 2 matches this year, 2 matches last year. So I think we're in the up in certain areas. But, losing Ox, Jan Hendrik and all of those guys, it's tough to lose. And Frans Malherbe will only be ready next year, June. And we had to bring a few youngsters into the mix. So we are getting better in swapping in and out in different positions. But a lot of work still to do if we think we can stay at the top.
And former middleweight champion Gennady Golovkin has been confirmed as the new president of World Boxing at the governing body's annual congress. Golovkin was elected as the sole candidate and replaces former president Boris van der Vorst, who had said back in September that he wouldn't seek re-election. Tola Gilimganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
5:45, so we are well into the rush hour. EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Charlie is up to date on everything that's going on.
Well, at the stage in the Ekurhuleni area, heading towards Boksburg, that's leaving Germiston. Expect about a 30-minute delay. N12 eastbound between the R24 split and Jet Park Road. Not yet clear what's causing this delay at this time of the evening. So please, you can WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702. If you are on that route, please let us know what's happening. Edenvale, traffic sluggish, R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Kilulis interchange. In Bryanston, expect some delays on the N1 southbound between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. In Blue Hills, There's traffic pressure R55 between Main Road and Tamboti. Sandton traveling towards Midrand, expect about a 20-minute delay on the M1 northbound from Greyston to the Butlu interchange. Devland, traffic sluggish on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue due to ongoing roadworks. And finally in Proclamation Hill, Pretoria, bumper-to-bumper traffic on Transorania between Kwacha and Vomhagen. I'll have your next Eyewitness News traffic update just after 6.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen can't help you find the right outfit for the date, but they can ease the traffic congestion so you get to the restaurant on time to feel the butterflies in your tummy. With the Outsurance pointsmen on the roads for the past 20 years, we can all get where we need to be quickly and safely. Outsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702. Show them some love online using #PointsmenLove. Licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So the one thing that really struck me about the media center at Nasrec for the G20 summit was firstly how many people there were there. There were a lot, maybe 1,000. I don't know what the media numbers were, but it was a huge space and it was hugely populated. And then what struck me as well was how many languages I was hearing, but also walking past a place where people were sitting at their desks. There were, and you kind of glance in the direction of someone's screen, and there are people writing in Arabic and writing in Mandarin and all kinds of different languages. So we had a lot of people in South Africa who were not from South Africa, and that prompted me to think about this. And we're going to start off with Ammapiano, but the question I was wondering, if you're sitting and chatting to someone who's just come to South Africa, or you're abroad and you're meeting someone who's not from our country and you're starting to talk music, and then they say, what kind of music do you have? And you say, well, we have something called Ammapiano, and that made me wonder. And we'll do it with other musical genres, by the way, in the course of the next few weeks, but this is where we're starting. If you were to play someone a song, that would be your way of introducing them to Ammapiano. And obviously you want to give it Ammapiano's very, very best foot forward. So, what song would you play? No pressure, Rifue Litsua, producing the show with Kabazela. But you had to pick one, and I'm sure it wasn't easy, but you picked one. Tell us what and why, please.
Good afternoon, John, and to the rest of the 702 family. It was quite tough picking a song. So this song is called Abantwana Bakho, translated as Your Children. It's almost like a prayer, right? And this is a song by DJ Maphorisa and Kabza the Small, and I think Youngstan is also in it. And for me, it reminds me of our national anthem. If you want to get to know how we are as South Africans, we are people of faith, people of tenacity. So this sort of reminds me of, this is the kind of people we are. Even if it gets tough, we get going.
Right.
That's my translation of this song.
Okay, but it's a great song, and it is the work of DJ Maphorisa, Abantwana Bakho. While you're listening and enjoying, think how you would answer that question. You're sitting with somebody who doesn't know South Africa well, doesn't know the music, and you want to introduce them to Ammapiano. What's your first song that you're going to play? Don't forget, you got to get them in one. You got to hook them and impress first up. Let's see how this one does.
Baba
What song best represents the very, very best of Ammapiano? Are you sharing it with somebody who's not from South Africa and doesn't know the music? The choice of my colleague Rifue, is that one that you just heard? DJ Maporisa, Abantwana Bako. How about you? Give us your suggestion. Let's see if we've got it, or make sure that we can play it. Give us a call on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
There's been a lot of praise for Cyril Ramaphosa and how he managed this G20.
The president deciding against tradition to say, right, I'm putting it up for adoption early on and then to keep the program moving. Was it incidental? No. Was it a slip-up? No. I think it was calculated in some way. And I do think that it was to sort of take advantage of the momentum of the diplomatic moment at play by dealing with that early on and then just letting everything else be symbolic.
Juanita Hunter.
The Midday Report.
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Time to review my favorite employee, my F&B Gold business account. You give me thousands of potential customers by listing my business on NAV Marketplace and access to Guard Me, a bodyguard for cash drops, locking up. No other card does this. If you weren't a bank card, I'd give you a raise.
The F&B Gold business account. No other card works harder for your business because your safety is worth it. F&B, help changes everything. T's and C's apply. F&B, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider.
10 years ago, Illuma Capital set out with one goal: to help people like you build a legacy for tomorrow. Through personalized strategies and unwavering dedication, we've been instrumental in helping our clients achieve their financial dreams. Whether it's securing retirement, growing wealth, or planning for the unexpected. For a decade, we've been trusted to guide your financial journey with expertise and care. Visit illuma.co.za today. Illuma Capital is a licensed FSP. T's and C's apply.
Do you suffer from heartburn and hyperacidity? To relieve heartburn for the whole day and night with one tablet, a potent once-a-day treatment which was previously prescription only is now available over the counter. Ask your pharmacist for an over-the-counter, long-lasting heartburn treatment. Brought to you by Sandoz.
John Perlman
on 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Hey John, I would recommend Ammapiano Blues. Ammapiano Blues by Kabza, and he's with some other artists there. That song, it's like a jazz Ammapiano. It's like a jazz Ammapiano, that John. Yeah, if you can play it, I think everybody will relate to actually how big the Ammapiano is, because Ammapiano, you can mix it with anything from jazz to gospel to R&B to rap and whatsoever. Hot of Formula Lady.
Barabas John, Malumi John, what are you doing to me? I just stepped out of my office. Gumnyama. I'm missing a deadline of a PhD. You just made my day. That's what I need. No name from Alberton. Good one, Malumi John. Thank you.
So that's Ammapiano Blues, Kabza de Small, Tolani Guitars, and Howard. John Vuligate was a song that we were asked about a little bit earlier. Mapara A Jazz featuring Ntosh Ghazi and Kolano. We don't have that just yet. We're going to dig that out for you. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I don't know a lot about Ammapiano music. Let me rephrase that. Ammapiano, I really know very little at all. So I'm doing this partly for myself as well, help myself build up a playlist so I can better get to know a music genre that is clearly so huge and so hugely popular and seemingly inspiring a lot of interest around the world. Right, what do we got? Let's play this and now back announce it. I actually remember when I first started at 702, I can't remember the name of the listener. If you're listening, you can contact us and tell me who you are. But whenever he sent in a WhatsApp voice note on the issues of the day, he'd say, just on the topic, the message would go something like this, just on the topic of this or that, John Vuligate. And that sort of, I thought, oh, is this? And at first I didn't know what he was talking about, John Vuligate. Then someone explained to me this was the title of a song. Imisebenzi Yetu, best my piano song, says Ray. Sorry, I've forgotten the artist. If someone knows the name of that artist, get in touch. I think we got some more music. Sound of Mpura Umsebenzi Wetu. That would be another way of introducing people who don't know Ammapiano to the music and the various artists. That's it. It is absolutely it from all of us for this Monday, but we are back on Tuesday. I'm John Perlman. From me and the team, good night.
And now, The Money Show
with Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app
and DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA CIB, proud host of the Africa Impact Matters series podcast. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. Good evening on your Money Show tonight. Naspers and Process report you're spending a lot more money on Take-A-Lot with a step change in the e-commerce business. Netcare ups its profits and talks about a digital dividend in its hospitals. African Bank keeps growing, is spending more money though, while we'll ask the PPC CEO if they're seeing more demand for cement and if something may finally be changing in our construction industry. Also tonight, whether the G20 will mean anything to the world economy, and from 7:30, the business of investing in fine art, and would you believe it, fine cars. All of that to come, but first, the very latest Eyewitness News.
Good evening, I'm Dutuzelo Nene. President Cyril Ramaphosa is in Angola's capital, Luanda, attending the 7th African Union-Europe Union Summit. The two-day A gathering will see leaders engaging on a range of issues as some regions on the globe battle ongoing conflict. It's hosted on the back of what's been lauded as a successful G20 summit in South Africa, the first ever on African soil. Zikhona Miso reports.
The AU-EU summit is a platform for member states to strengthen both political and economic ties. It comes as this year marks the 25th anniversary of the partnership. As a member state of the AU, South Africa will prioritize support from the EU region for the second 10-year implementation plan of the AU Agenda 2063. The African Union will be led by host President João Lourenço as chairperson of the AU and Mahmoud Ali Youssef as chairperson of the AU Commission. Europe will be represented by leaders of France and Denmark alongside President of the European Council, Antonio Costa. The summit will conclude tomorrow. Zikhona Miso, Eyewitness News.
The chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on International Relations and Cooperation, Ammapiano, says he's pleased that the police will formally investigate the matter of 17 South Africans stranded in the Donbas region of Ukraine. Ammapiano says the committee has noted the developments around the 17 South Africans stranded in Ukraine after allegedly being lured to the war-torn country, allegedly by members of the MK party. Former President Jacob Zuma's daughter and MK party member Duduzile Zuma Sambudla is alleged to have recruited the men who are reportedly forced to fight against their will in Ukraine. Babalo Ndenze reports.
Police on Sunday confirmed that they are investigating claims that Duduzile Zuma Sambudla and other members of the MK party tricked 17 men into fighting for Russia in Ukraine. Zuma's other daughter, Nkosazana Zuma Mncube, also accused her stepsister, Zuma Sambudla, of sending the men to Russia before they ended up on the front lines in the ongoing conflict. Ammapiano says the committee is pleased that the South African Police Service will now formally investigate the matter. In a statement today, Ammapiano says the committee welcomes the developments and the committee will seek further clarification from the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. He said the police investigation should help establish how the South African men were recruited, processed and platooned in the Russian army. Ammapiano says any underground or parallel structure